horse. He's always on a steady course.
Don Matthews' team is the best in the CFL South Division. With Tracy Ham leading the Stallions, they have won 5 straight games. Record-breaking Mike Pringle leads the ground attack, while Chris Armstrong and company ride up against the league's best in Calgary. Wally Buono and his Stampeders have been almost unbeatable at home with Doug Flutie and Alan Pitts. Flutie, the perennial MVP. So far this season, they have been perfect. Pitts is on a record-breaking pace. This is the top duo in the CFL.
CFL Live, today's game from McMahon Stadium in Calgary has the Baltimore Stallions facing the Calgary Stampeders.
Good afternoon and welcome to the CFL on TSN. I'm Darren Detishin. Glad you could join us. You know, during the course of the CFL regular season, there are games and then there are events. That's exactly what we have today. Unquestionably, the 2 hottest teams in the CFL meet this afternoon at McMahon Stadium. Both have won 5 straight coming in. The Baltimore Stallions from the south and the Calgary Stampeders from the north. On the line, it's more than just 2 points. It's pride and a team's ability to be the best. And what a key matchup this should be, because they are the 2 best slots in the league. Dave Sapunjas and Alan Pitts have combined for 10 touchdowns this season and well over 1,000 yards. Can Baltimore's defensive backfield, who have lost free safety Lester Smith for the year with a broken ankle, stop the super slots? To be successful, they will have to. I know these 2 guys are excited about today's game. Let's go to Leif Pettersson and John Wells. Gentlemen.
Darren, when 2 well-matched football teams like the Stampeders and the Stallions meet, it often comes down to special teams, and Baltimore's really sailing along with a guy by the name of Chris Wright, who's run back 2 punts for touchdowns this season.
He's a terrific returner, and you've got Pee Wee Smith for Calgary, and special teams, I think, may be the difference in this ball game. You look at how evenly matched these teams are. The kicking game could decide it, and wow, do we have some great kickers in this one. Look at Mark McLaughlin, only missed once. Carlos Huerta, 81% in his field goals, and all Josh Miller has done is averaged over 46 yards a punt. He leads the league, but, you know, I think that really could be the factor. You couple it with the wet field today, kicking game is going to be awfully important.
On paper, 2 very well-matched football teams. It looks like it should be the game of the week, and I think on the field it'll prove that way this afternoon, Darren.
Thanks very much, guys. On now to the matchups, or elements that we deem to be of importance today. How mentally and physically sharp will the Stallions be? It's their 3rd game in 9 days. They haven't had a lot of rest. The pass feeds the run feeds the pass. Mike Pringle and his 5.3 yard per carry average is integral to Tracy Ham's success. Defensive halfback Derek Coleman has won back-to-back Defensive Player of the Week awards. He's playing with a cast due to a broken wrist. How effective will he be? And last year, Rocco Romano lost out to the Stallions Sharp Porternash as the league's outstanding lineman. He'll have to be outstanding today going up against one of the CFL's best in Alfred Payton. Time now for the start of the game. Let's go to McMahon Stadium for the opening kickoff.
And here is Pee Wee Smith on the return for the Calgary Stampeders. And the ball pops loose, and it's turned over quickly by Robert Drummond, who stripped it away from Pee Wee Smith. So the turnover happens early for the Baltimore Stallions.
Well, you can see when Robert Drummond goes in to make the tackle, he's trying to tackle the football, knocks it loose, and he as well makes the recovery. I mean, look at the intent here. He's going for the ball all the way because Pee Wee Smith's kind of got it hanging out to the side. And for the Baltimore Stallions, what a terrific break for them early.
First turnover on the opening kickoff, and Drummond is the man of the moment for the Baltimore Stallions. He's also in the starting backfield. 1st and 10 set up at the 38-yard line. Pringle got the call on the Stampeders. Storm through. That's Anthony McClanahan with a tackle number 41.
Kind of a surprise start at quarterback today for Baltimore. Sean Jones gets the start now. You know, the last couple of days in here, we'd heard Tracy Ham had been bothered by a hamstring and kind of felt that it was Don Matthews just playing a bit of a game with Calgary, but obviously the hamstring has bothered him enough that Sean Jones will begin this game at quarterback.
On second down, the ball is knocked away from Sean Jones. And Will Johnson is there for the Stampeders. So the Calgary defense comes up rather large.
From the left side of your screen, Will Johnson, number 81, will finally get in. He pushes Portinosh right back into the pile. And I think Sean Jones just simply had the ball slip out of his hands. And, you know, it's been raining all day here in Calgary. The field is really soaked. And I think Sean Jones, just couldn't get the handle on that.
Here's Carlos Huerta in to try a field goal from some distance. He's out at about the 47.5-yard line.
Carlos Huerta, position for 40-yard field goal.
Carlos told me before the game that he was having some trouble with his footing out there, obviously, and didn't feel like he was going to fall down, but he said he was having a little bit of problem with his plant foot. No
and he's on
there.
target from 47.5 yards. So the early turnover, and Baltimore, although not getting a first down, comes up with 3 points after the Stallions strip the ball away from Pee Wee Smith on the opening kickoff. Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Mr. Sub. Fresh thinking is what we are. And Doug Flutie has done his usual masterful job of leading the Stampeder offense. He has completed 68% of his passes. Solid protection up front from the offensive line. That has allowed just 5 sacks so far this season. And the Stamps' incredible slots machine of Pitts and Sapunjas are the key to the passing game for Flutie today.
John, as you look at the lineup there, Bruce Beaton, number 64, is the left tackle. Now, a couple of weeks ago, he had his first start. You know, Bruce Covington is out for the whole season with shoulder problems, and you know, it would remain to be seen how well Bruce Beaton could play. And you know, Doug Flutie told me yesterday he has played as well as anybody could have ever expected and given them solid protection from the left side.
Another kickoff by the Stallions, this time taken by Terry Vaughn. Gets a block from Pee Wee Smith, a little room to the far side, and he's out near the 40-yard line. On the Baltimore defense, the front 7 with CFL veterans Gerald Bayless and Alfred Payton rates as the toughest in Canadian football right now. O.J. Brigance leads the linebacking core. All-star Irvin Smith, great on the right corner. Courtney Griffin, the 4th Stallion to start on the left side as the cornerback over there because of a pile of injuries.
And a pretty nice situation for Doug Flutie today. The Stallions are really thin in that secondary. Kareem Bacon is starting his first professional game at middle safety, and they've had a lot of injuries in that backfield.
Stampeders start with a 5-pack of receivers. Flutie from the shotgun to his right, and that one is picked off at the 55-yard line. Almost picked off by Tracy Gravely.
You know, Tracy Gravely, I think he's going to really be on the hot seat today with a secondary that's banged up. He's the guy that's going to have to cover the number 3 receiver. In a lot of cases, it'll be Alan Pitts or David Sapunjas, and really miscommunication there. Pee Wee Smith running the hook and obviously didn't get to the right spot. Gravely almost had the interception, but I think you watch Tracy Gravely today. He has to have an enormous game for this defense.
2nd and 10, Stampeders. Flutie under the cover. This is Terry Vaughn making the catch. Good move to get the first down. Solid run for Vaughn. Finally forced out by Kareem Bacon.
John, you know, I watched a lot of film with Doug Flutie yesterday, and he said one of the things Baltimore's secondary does when they play zone is the corners slide to the inside, and they're very willing to let you throw the wide side out and almost challenge the quarterback's arm strength. And Doug Flutie says, I'm going to have to show them early that I can deliver that ball. And on the first series, he hits Terry Vaughn with a long pass on the out, and it's a very successful one.
28 yards, Flutie to Vaughn. Stampeders set up at the Baltimore 40-yard line. Little play action this time, and Flutie for Pitts. Nice catch. 14 for Alan Pitts. Lots of weapons for the Stampeders.
Yeah, they're using motion really well today to find out what kind of coverage they're going to see. Here's Alan Pitts right here, and Anthony's got to slide in here with him, and watch, just break back out to the corner. See, he's got Anthony's hips turned right there. Anthony's in big trouble. Watch the one-hander. Beautiful catch. But that's what you use motion early for, to find out if they're going to be in zone or man. See who runs with the receivers.
On first down, there's nowhere to go for Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart stacked up.
Grant Carter in his second season in Baltimore, and on the tackle.
Well, yeah, there's no secret to the success of the Stampeders where it lies. It's in the slot backs, Alan Pitts and David Sapunjas. 1-2 in the league in reception so far. Add another one to Alan Pitts' total, so he's only one behind the league leader, Dave Sapunjas. And my, oh my, you know, we'll show you later what these numbers project out to. They're off to great starts.
Responsible for almost half of the receiving yards for the Stampeders.
Flag on the play.
The slot backs and a procedure call, or at least a flag down. Early in the opening quarter, it's 3-0 Baltimore leading Calgary.
Offside, Baltimore, number 54. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Wally Buono in his 6th year as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, looking for his 71st win. In that time, certainly a terrific winning percentage for the head coach of the Stampeders. 2nd and 6 facing Flutie here. Vaughn makes the catch. It'll be another Calgary first down inside the 15. Stopped by Matt Goodwin. 18 yards for Vaughn, his 2nd catch of the afternoon.
Yeah, Calgary just gave Baltimore a new look where they put Terry Vaughn and Pee Wee Smith, the 2 wide receivers, to one side of the field and put everybody else to the other. And, you know, that's a pretty good matchup. I like that. Terry Vaughn on number 39, Matt Goodwin. I mean, hey, that's a linebacker covering one of your fastest wide receivers. Whoa, Calgary, if they go back to that one, they're going to get some gravy there.
First down and goal to go, Stampeders. Ball spotted at the 3-yard line of Baltimore. Flutie to his right, wide open, touchdown, Tony Stewart. Boy, an amazing drive by the Stampeders.
Well, the key too, John, is Baltimore was able to get little or no pressure on Doug Flutie when he was throwing. Attribute that to good blocking and maybe a wet field, but 4 receivers, they all come inside and run little scrapes and picks, and Tony Stewart's the only receiver to go to the outside, and no Baltimore players able to even get close to him. They made that drive look pretty easy, but the schemes were tremendous, eh? Terry Vaughn and Pee Wee Smith with a big play, both on the same side. We haven't seen that yet this year.
McLaughlin adds 1 more to the Stampeder total. Calgary has the first touchdown of the ball game and a 7-3 lead. Flutie to Stewart. No problem.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you by All Sport. The new All Sports drink for athletes. All Sport. The game will never be the same. And by Bell Advantage Long Distance Services, from the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies.
Tony Stewart has his 4th touchdown of the year to give the Calgary Stampeders a 4-point advantage.
I
didn't know anybody was corner big. It took so long, I figured somebody had to be on it if you waited, you know?
Tony was saying that ball took a little while to get to me. I was open all the way.
This is right. We told you about him. He has been sensational, but the Stampeders were well rehearsed. And Kenton Leonard led the tacklers for Calgary that time. Ford scoring drive covered 67 yards in 6 plays. Flutie to Stewart, 3-yard touchdown.
I think what was so impressive out of those 6 plays, I'll say they gave Baltimore 4 different offensive formation looks on that series, and that's tough for a defense to adapt and adjust that quickly. John Jones was the 3rd-string quarterback last year, saw very limited action, and has seen limited action this year.
Baltimore from the 23. Sean Jones. Maybe grabbed a yard. Chased out by McClanahan.
Calgary's made a few switches on defense today, too, adding Anthony McClanahan to the linebacking core and putting Marvin Pope up almost in a rush defensive end position. Tough position for Don Matthews. I mean, this is the end of a 3-game road trip, and play Edmonton, a very physical team last Wednesday, and now another physical game a few days later on a Sunday. This is a tough trip for them.
And to finish off against the Stampeders, makes it even tougher. 3 receivers near side as Jones stands in on 2nd and 12 and fired that one into the turf. Shannon Culver was the intended receiver. So another 2-and-out sequence for the Stallion offense.
John, you talked in the opening about all the terrific special teams players today. The punt returners, Chris Wright for Baltimore, and probably one of the best for the Calgary Stampeders is Marvin Coleman, and he's got a broken wrist, so although he will play the corner today, you won't see him returning any kicks, and that leaves the job up to Terry Vaughn and Pee Wee Smith.
Here's Josh Miller, and he's been punting the stuffing out of the ball. Greg Knox almost got through on that one, and here's Pee Wee Smith. Held on this time. Alvin Walden leading the Stallion tacklers after a 54-yard punt. There's the score on CFL Live. That's Tracy Ham in the parka wearing jersey number 8. We were led to believe that he was going to be the starter for the Stallions yesterday, although he had suffered a hamstring injury and also a foot injury in the game in Edmonton. There was no indication that he wouldn't be the starter, but Don Matthews made a little change.
One of the other surprises, too, is O.J. Brigance, the middle linebacker, did not play in that very first series. It was number 31, Maurice Gravely, cousin of Tracy Gravely. So, you know, I had a long chat with O.J. yesterday. He never indicated there was an injury problem, so I just have to believe that maybe they're going more for pass defense right now with Gravely in there and not Brigance.
Or maybe just a little smoke screen when we talked to the
no, I don't think so.
Yesterday.
No, I don't think so. There's nothing wrong with Brigance. I think they're trying to go for pass coverage here and hoping to get just good rush from their front four and cover with 8 guys.
5 pack of receivers for Doug Flutie on first down. His receiver fell down. This one is picked up. Charles Anthony down the sideline. Flutie over to knock him out of bounds. All the way down to the 3-yard line. Charles Anthony, 4 interceptions last year. That's his 4th this season.
Well, one of the problems they're going to have for the receivers this afternoon is wet footing, and watch Alan Pitts right here. Anthony's going to come like this, but what happens is Pitts falls down on the play, and Anthony, very opportunistic, is able to make the interception. Had one for a touchdown against Edmonton the other night that really turned that game around, and now a big break again for Baltimore.
47-yard return, setting the Stallions up at the 3-yard line. This is Pringle. He's gone. Touchdown, Baltimore. The Stallions quick to capitalize on that, as Pringle had lots of room to find the end zone for his 4th rushing touchdown of the season.
And isn't it interesting that so far all Baltimore's points coming off Calgary's turnovers, rather. Pee Wee Smith fumble, field goal, and now the interception, and Mike Pringle on the counter comes around the corner. Good block by Guy Earl. And once Pringle gets to the outside in that short yardage situation, nobody's going to catch him. So it looks like 10 quick points for the Stallions off Stampeder mistakes.
Now there's the 10 points for Baltimore. So a quick start here in Calgary. Lots of scoring. Stampeders engineered a very impressive 67-yard drive to counter the opening field goal.
But John, you know, it always seems to happen when you get 2 really good, solid teams. Mistakes often, more times than not, dictate the outcome of games. And Charles Anthony with the interception, his 4th of the season. Flutie, hey, you know, those things happen. I mean, his receiver falls down and the interception occurs.
Anthony spent a little time with the Calgary Stampeders along the way, and also a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 1993. He's in his 2nd year in Baltimore. 8:26 to go in the opening quarter. And already 17 points on the board.
Just with a few seconds remaining in the first half in that game in Edmonton last Wednesday night, Kerwin Bell tried to throw one out into the flat, and Anthony picked it off, took it 54 yards for a touchdown, and, you know, that really was the turning point in that game.
Stampeders and Stallions both riding 5-game winning streaks. Stampeders unbeaten all season long. The Stallions lost their opening game to the BC Lions and haven't been beaten since. Josh Miller, the punter, also handling the kickoff duties. This is Terry Vaughn. Nice run for Vaughn out near the 45.
You know, John, sometimes when quarterbacks throw interceptions, they look for a place to hide because they don't want to get hit. But you see Flutie here, you know, all of a sudden now, boom, he's going to get up off the ground. He knows what's happened. He said, boy, I better get in position to make the play. And who do you think makes the tackle down near the goal line?
Got the shoulder in there and forced Anthony out, but one play later, Pringle was in the end zone regardless. Flutie engineered a scoring drive. Second last time he had his hands on the ball. To his left this time, looking deep for Pitts. And just a little too far. Pee Wee Smith was also clearing in the area, and Anthony was with Pitts. That's Charles Anthony.
Doug Flutie's pass is incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Well, McMahon Stadium's been a pretty good place for Calgary to play over the years. They have the longest current win streak at home with 26 games, and boy, if you're a visiting team coming in here, it's not too fruitful.
1992 Labor Day to the Eskimos. The last Stampeder loss on home turf.
Of course, they're pretty good on the road, too.
Not bad at all. 2nd and 10. Here's Flutie. A little charge, and Flutie had to unload that one. Sapunjas was the closest Calgary receiver.
And one of the ways
is getting a little heat on Flutie, Leaf.
Well, good pressure coming from the outside, and this is what they have to get on Doug Flutie. Make somebody at least get in his face, and it's Bruce Beaton that can't handle the speed on the outside pass rush by Alfred Payton, and Flutie pays the price. But, you know, O.J. Brigance was saying yesterday, if we can make Flutie hold the ball just a split second longer than he normally likes to, we may be able to get somebody in his face and disrupt him.
Chris Wright, the lone man back for the Stallions. Martino on 3rd and 10. Out a deep kick. Bouncing to right. Markers are down as Wright has lost a lot of yards on this return so far. Gets another block. There's another marker down. In fact, 3 markers on the field. So Wright ran a long way for nothing.
41-yard kick.
18 yards on the return after a 42-yard punt by Martino.
Well, I tell you, I think every official on the field threw his. Here's one. Here's another one. There was another one up here. Yep. There was another flag right over there. I think every official got rid of the laundry on this one. So, and I have a feeling they're all going against Baltimore.
Legal block, Baltimore, number 55, 10-yard penalty, first down Baltimore.
And there were a couple of other illegal blocks, but they signal.
Well, maybe they all saw the same one.
Well, there was one on the far side of the field as well, but the one they called was very early in the return by Chris Wright. So the Stallions begin back at the 8-yard line as a result.
And Wally Buono has made a pretty interesting switch today on defense. Anthony McClanahan, the linebacker, is in, and that means Marvin Pope now has moved up. He's at the top of your screen in a down position there. Well, he stays in an up position, but he's going to be a rush end in this game.
This is Mike Pringle starting from the 1-yard line. And there's a marker down. Pringle out about the 3. Alondra Johnson on the tackle. Sean Jones making his first start at quarterback for the Baltimore Stallions in relief of Tracy Ham. It was a pregame decision from the Baltimore coaching staff. The offensive line is big and very effective, with the Earl twins standing 6'5" each and weighing 315 pounds. Chris Armstrong leads the receiving corps. Running back Mike Pringle is the key to the Stallions' success along the ground, and he has been sensational as he leads the CFL in rushing. Penalty is declined. It is 2nd and 10. Jones got rid of it in a hurry. Robert Drummond making the catch, but he's well short of a first down, and Baltimore will kick it away in a hurry.
Boy, that's a defensive series that you really want to win the battle on when you have a team like Baltimore backed up. This is a team that can really methodically drive the ball down your throat, and for Alonzo Johnson and his defense to be able to stuff them deep in their own territory, that's a real psychological win. You know, much has been talked about. Can Baltimore run against this defense? I mean, they're the best running team in the league. And Calgary, you know, they're going to want to take on that challenge today.
Bouncing to Vaughn, and well covered by the Stallions special team. 4-yard return after a 40-yard punt. 5:53 to go in the opening quarter. A little damp at McMahon this afternoon. They've been playing volleyball in Calgary for 6 seasons now, and Wally Buono looking for his 71st win in regular season play. Winning percentage simply amazing. He's moved into 3rd spot on the all-time list and is in rather illustrious company behind Frank Pop Ivy and Hugh Campbell.
It's an interesting game to watch, the coaching strategy. I think we've got unquestionably two of the best coaches, game day coaches in the league right here with Wally Buono and Don Matthews. And they're going to be really battling heads today from the sidelines to try and out-scheme each other.
Matthews, the 5th winningest coach in CFL history. 115 wins, 67 losses.
I sure like the way he handles the bench in a game. There's nothing that he misses, and he's a terrific game day coach.
1st and 10 Calgary at the 48. Flutie. Pitts couldn't, or did he hang on? He did. Something came loose from Pitts' equipment. I thought the ball had popped loose there. He lost his bandana. Ken Watson on the tackle, 16 yards for Pitts.
Pitts and Sapunja side by side. Kenny Watson. Now you see the big hole in the middle of the field. That's what Doug Flutie's reading, and when he caught it, one of his wristbands or something went flying out.
1st down from the 33. Flutie to his right. On target again. And Alan Pitts is the man in front of Watson. Number 33, 16 yards for Alan Pitts that time.
And what Pitts and Sapunjas are doing is using motion. Pitts came back down inside to get the position and then worked to the out, but that's what they're using. Little subtle motion to get the defensive back turned the way you want them before the ball's even snapped, and that's what makes these slot backs so good. I mean, they're always thinking of little schemes to get open.
Stampeders offering a pretty steady diet of that 5-receiver package. Near side, and Pitts again. 3 in a row for Alan Pitts. It's a magical combination. Number 20 to number 18. 5 yards for Pitts there.
Well, you know, they have so many option routes in their system depending on the alignment of the defensive backs in the secondary. You see Watson inside. Pitts has the option to go outside. I mean, that is unstoppable. The only way you stop it is if you get somebody in Flutie's face. On the last couple of series, they haven't been able to do that. The one rush by Payton, and that was really it.
2nd and 5. Ball at the Stallions 11. Early movements, and the markers come down.
Well, when they don't snap the ball, it's usually procedure.
10-7, Baltimore leading Calgary.
Well, the only thing you can say there is obviously one of the Baltimore players had to make contact with Calgary for them to blow it dead.
Offside, Baltimore, number 72, 5-yard penalty. 1st down, Calgary.
That's Robert Presbury.
Defensive tackle.
Alan Pitts on his way to another 100-yard game. He's halfway there. 4 catches in the opening quarter. Flutie has Stewart coming out of the backfield. Can't quite turn the corner. And he's bulldogged out of bounds near the 4. Charles Anthony covered it well after the catch was made.
Tony Stewart been a terrific back in the last season and a half for the Calgary Stampeders when he's called upon to rush the ball, which isn't a heck of a lot, only 200 yards up to this point, and he's done well, but it's his receiving abilities that have really enhanced this offense.
2nd down, goal to go, Stampeders at the Baltimore 4. And again, Flutie gets them to move a little early. Robert Pressbury moved a little quickly last time. We'll see if this is offside or a procedure call. Indication is it's offside Baltimore.
Offside, Baltimore, number 56. Half the distance to goal line. First down, Calgary.
Alfred Payton.
Well, here's Payton at the top of the screen, and one of the reasons why you get a bit of a jump is look at Flutie, how far he is back in the shotgun. I mean, as a defensive lineman, you know that, hey, he's back there, and he gets back another 12-yard depth so quickly that for that front four, it is a tough assignment to try and get close to Doug Flutie.
And the Stampeders will be tough to stop from here. First down, goal to go at the Baltimore 2-yard line. Daniels in the backfield. Stewart got the call. Ball is loose. And the Stallions have recovered it. O.J. Brigance is celebrating there, number 57. Stampeders have turned it over a couple of times already. That's the third. 2 fumbles and the interception.
And as a middle linebacker, you know, you're really gearing yourself up for some contact. Here's O.J. Brigance right down here, and watch the penetration initially, and Sean Daniels really doesn't have a chance. Look at Brigance get underneath the shoulder pads of Bruce Beaton. He makes the hit and makes the fumble recovery. That's some kind of defensive play. But he got the leverage underneath Bruce Beaton and got that penetration.
Baltimore starting inside the 5. Pringle breaks through for a few extra yards.
Sean Jones handoff to Mike Pringle, wrapped up by Anthony McClanahan.
Mike Pringle, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League last year and leading the way again so far in 1995. O.J. Brigance turning it over to the offense.
That's a scheme. You saw him on the goal line that you'll see a lot from Baltimore's defense when he's in there today. They like to line him up over the uncovered guard, and that means they have all the 5 offensive linemen covered, and then they rely on either one of them to make the play, or the linebackers are free in behind them.
Pringle picks up 6. This is 2nd and 4. Jones under a little pressure, got it away for Perry. Reggie Perry carried Finley for a couple of extra yards, and he's out near the 30-yard line. Big play for Baltimore, 20 yards the gain.
Well, they need a couple of first downs to give themselves some breathing space here, but John Jones showed some tremendous patience there waiting for Perry to clear the linebacker, Alondra Johnson. He threw a pretty good strike.
17 points on the board already. Baltimore leading 10-7. On first down, Pringle caught in the backfield. Grabbed initially by Anthony McClanahan. 3 yards the gain for Pringle that time.
Mike Pringle's all-purpose yards there, 118 receiving, but the 594, as you may expect, leads the league in rushing. Of course, last year with 1,972 yards, set a CFL league season rushing record.
He is number 1 rushing in the CFL right now, but he's also number 1 with yards from scrimmage as a receiver coming out of the backfield. Jordan made the play. Armstrong the catch. Chris Armstrong.
But Sean Jones, you can't really blame him. He sees the heat coming up the middle, and he knows he has to get rid of the football quickly, but wow, does he ever hang Armstrong out to dry. And you know, Jordan didn't get the helmet right into the chest, or Chris Armstrong may not be getting up off the ground.
6 yards, and it'll be a punting situation though, as Josh Miller comes in. Vaughn and Pee Wee Smith deep for Calgary. Pee Wee Smith beginning at the 35, away from the first leg. What a run by Pee Wee Smith. Only the kicker had a chance, and Smith will go all the way. No markers, folks. Oh, hang on, there's one at the 40-yard line. Against Calgary, they'll bring this one back to at least the 40. It would have been a 64-yard return.
regardless of whether they bring it back or not, which it looks like they will. That was a terrific return by Pee Wee Smith. He's getting lots of playing time this year.
Calgary, number 29, 10-yard penalty from point possession gain. First down, Calgary.
Greg Brenner was caught for holding, and it was way back.
Well, you can't really see 29, Craig Brenner, in the holding call on the left of the screen, but still a pretty terrific run by Pee Wee Smith, and would have been a 64-yard touchdown. Now you look where they start down around their 26-yard line. I mean, that is a lot of offense to give up.
A lot of yards in the football field and points on the scoreboard with what it might have been for Pee Wee Smith. Into the final 30 seconds now of the opening quarter. Stampeders beginning at the 21. Flutie has the 5-pack in again. Sponges short of the first down. He's out across the 30. And that's his first catch. 6 for Sponge.
Boy, the Calgary Stampeders really spread the defense out. I mean, you had 4 receivers to the wide side of the field. Then you had Terry Vaughn and Tony Stewart back weak side. Doug Flutie all by himself in the backfield. Look for Flutie to run the quarterback draw when he's the only guy left in the backfield.
2nd and 4, Stampeders at the 32. Again, first down. Flutie, Sponges. Stopped by Maurice Scrabley. That'll be the end of the opening quarter. 10-yard gain for the Stampeders, who trail it 10-7.
Section G, more details to follow.
Busy day in the world of sports. The Montreal Expos were trying to break out of a 5-game losing streak as they took on Atlanta and Steve Avery this afternoon at the Big O. Mike Lansing, one man on. Avery the pitch, gone. It's deep to left field, a 2-run shot. That will make it 5-1 for the Expos. Carlos Perez got the start for the Spos. 9th inning. He goes the distance. He gets Mike Kelly to ground out. Perez improves to 10-3 on the year with a 6-2 victory this afternoon. Now, coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time, the Toronto Blue Jays will take on the Boston Red Sox. Once again, it's an 8 o'clock start on TSN. Edwin Hurtado with the start. He's 3-0, a 4.81 ERA. By the way, Zane Smith has now won 3 straight games. The Toronto Blue Jays have dropped 2 in a row. Let's get back to McMahon Stadium in just a few moments. And so far, so good. We anticipated a good football game between these two teams. It's a 3-point affair. Let's go back to John and Leaf. Gentlemen.
All right, Darren, set to begin the second quarter. Before we do, Baltimore on top 10-7. Stampeders had an outstanding opportunity to get into the end zone in this hard-hitting ball game. Here's a look at how close the Stampeders came. Brigance coming up with a fumble at the 2-yard line, or else Flutie would have been in the end zone with 3 cracks at it from there.
I think one of the tough things, and you really heard it in that replay, was how physical this game is going to be today. And this is the second extremely physical game that Don Matthews' Baltimore team will have had. Edmonton, every time you play Edmonton, you know you're in for a lot of hitting. And boy, against the Stampeders, it's no different.
Numbers from the opening quarter. The turnover is a big part of the story. Stampeders coughed it up 3 times, couple of fumbles, 1 interception. Yards rushing for Calgary, or actually -1. Net yards for the Stampeders, 116 compared to 41. Baltimore took advantage of 2 turnovers to hit the scoreboard twice. Stewart out of bounds.
Take it over, play by number 21, Irvin.
Hasn't carried the ball a great deal for Calgary so far in 1995.
Well, last year he had over 1,000 yards, which was kind of unusual for a Calgary running back. It hadn't happened since 1986. Gary Allen did it, but For Tony Stewart, he had a super year, and boy, oh boy, you don't want to see this. That's Irvin Smith, the all-Canadian corner, who was down. He made the tackle on that last play, but my, oh my, Baltimore's secondary is thin to begin with coming into this game. Their nickelback is Norris Thomas, and he just arrived on Friday to join the team, so they are really hurting. Of course, Carl Anthony, their other corner, blew out his knee in the opening game against BC, and he is lost for the year. See if you can see what happens left side of your screen.
Well, he turned the knee pretty badly, I'd say. Carl Anthony out. Coors Irvin is also on the injury list from the secondary. Gary Wilkerson and Lester Smith. But maybe Irvin will be back in the game. He looks to be up and okay, at least for the moment.
Well, you see how Flutie has done it to the Stallions here in the first half, and not too many secrets in the kind of offense that he wants to run.
4-yard gain in the previous play. Stamps at the 46. 5-receiver pack again. Flutie has to get out of there. Pressbury in pursuit. And he airs this one out. No one is home. Danielson was the closest Stampeder receiver to the Flutie pass. Stampeders have struggled just a little bit in the second quarter. They struggled at times in the opening quarter thanks to turnovers.
Well, it's funny, you look on the other side of the coin, it's Baltimore's best quarter offensively, the second quarter. So you might think there's an opportunity here for them.
Chris Wright is deep for this punt from Tony Martino, standing near his 35. Wright takes it at the 20. Great tackle upfield. Great clearance. The return limited to 1 yard after a 44-yard kick.
Boy, John, you look at this Baltimore team, and they have been on a long road trip. I can't remember a team staying away from home for 3 games, and all began in Birmingham, where they hammered the Birmingham Barracudas pretty well, and then in Baltimore, or in Edmonton rather, the other night they won a very, very tight game to go 2-0 on this road trip, and boy, you know they'd love to go back to Baltimore on that charter tonight, 3-0. That'd be a terrific trip for them.
3 games in 8 days. Jones at the controls for Baltimore. Looks to the near side. Tuipulotu, that's number 32, Peter Tuipulotu on the receiving end of that toss. 8 yards the gain.
Only the 3rd catch of the season for fullback Peter Tuipulotu, who was an all-star fullback a year ago, but a year ago he did catch 53 balls, and that is his true forte, just sneaking out in the flat, and it's a nice high percentage pass for the Baltimore offense to complete, and he should catch a lot of balls again this season.
2nd and 2. Pringle had nowhere to go. Wrapped up by Zizakovic. And also Anthony McClanahan seeing his first action for the Calgary Stampeders, number 41.
Well, you mentioned Anthony McClanahan, and my oh my, he made his presence felt on this play. You know, as an outside linebacker, you've got to come up and take the lead block on in this play, and watch what McClanahan does. He's got great upper body strength. Boom! I mean, that is a head popper on Tuipulotu, the fullback, who's a pretty good blocker. My oh my, that's the best hit we've seen this afternoon.
Punting situation again for the Stallions. Josh Miller. Pee Wee Smith. And not much for Smith that time. He's near the 50. Stampeders on the exchange do fairly well. Robert Davis leading the tacklers. Calgary first down when we return.
Holy bananas, Margaret. You know.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by 3M Canada. Imagining the unthinkable and developing the unknown. That's 3M Innovation at Work.
Chrysler, you're downtown.
There's Anthony McClanahan, who just had the tremendous hit on that last series. I tell you, I think that's the best hit I've seen all season long as he takes on. Watch, it's worth another look. There he is at the bottom, and Peter Tuipulotu, he just gets his head snapped back over. Not only does he foul off the play, he makes the initial hit, and My, oh my, you don't think this is going to be a physical game this afternoon? He was a cut from the Dallas Cowboys and got 4.5 speed. He's 6'2", 232 pounds. That's allowed them to make that move and put Martin Pope on the line, and I think that's a good defensive move for the Stampeders.
On first down, Flutie to the far side, has Vaughn again. Suggestion was they were trying to get Terry Vaughn involved in the offense this week, and they've done it so far.
Well, the Baltimore defense allows you to do that. I mentioned earlier, when they're in zone, they will allow you to throw that out pattern, and Doug Flutie is having a nice first half. And I thought it was interesting. He went to Edmonton and sat in the press box and watched the Edmonton-Baltimore game the other night, and all night he just watched the defense and played games of it, things that he would call had he been in that game. So now today it's just like a deja vu for him, you know, as he looks across the line of scrimmage at the defense.
On first down, Flutie dumps it over the middle. This is Tony Stewart away from the first tackle. And a nice little move to get near the 45-yard line. There's a marker down after a 4-yard gain. Indication face masking against Baltimore from referee Ken Lazarick.
Major foul, face mask, Baltimore, number 9, 15-yard penalty, first down Calgary.
That's Charles Anthony late.
Well, you see as he comes in right here, the hand comes up into the face mask, and he got him. One of the things you look at today, I mean, here's the line of scrimmage. Here's Doug Flutie. Hey, that's 7 yards, and just as he takes the snap, he starts moving backwards. When he throws, he can be up to 15 yards. And that's tough for that front four to try and chase him down.
Stampeders from the 30. Sean Danielson, number 88. Vince Danielson, I should say. Vince Danielson, Sean Daniels is the running back.
Boy, Vince Danielson has just worked himself nicely into this lineup as the 5th receiver, getting a lot of playing time in this game and spreading out that defense. You know, I've told the story before, and it's worth repeating because I think it's so interesting. A quarterback at UBC who decided to become a receiver his last year because he felt that would be his best way to be drafted in the pros, and boy, was he right, and he is really fitting in nicely with this club.
Just short of the first down on that reception. Vince Danielson led the Stampeders in receiving last week against Shreveport. 7 catches for 93 yards.
Well, at 6'6", you know, you see how tall he is there in the huddle, and he's a nice guy, especially for a small quarterback like Doug Flutie to try and find downfield.
Second down, less than a yard to go. Stampeders trying to get across the 20. Flutie himself. And it'll be a first down.
Boy, John, it's been another terrific year for the Stampeders statistically, and you look in their first 5 games what they have done to their opposition. Look at that, 202 to 85 in points scored, and talk about defensive domination, 17 sacks, and Doug Flutie's offensive line only giving up 4. Now keep in mind, 2 of those games were against Shreveport. They played Ottawa and Memphis. BC was the other team that really has a solid record they played against. Kind of a soft schedule, but nevertheless total domination.
And 5 straight wins. First and 10, Stampeders at the 18. Flutie with 5 receivers in again. And this one is picked out. That's Bacon. Number 35, Kareem Bacon with the interception. Second one offered up by Flutie this afternoon.
And you could see Doug Flutie hesitating and hesitating. He just didn't get what he wanted to see downfield, but decided to force it anyway. Bacon with the pick, but there is a penalty on the play, and it looks like Calgary still may get it back.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Baltimore, number 98, half the distance to the goal line, first down Calgary.
Boy, Gerald Bayless takes a big penalty for the Stallions.
You're going to get a good look at what Gerald Bayless did too. Here he is, and well, you can see Flutie's arm up here getting rid of the football. Hey, when it's gone, you got to stop. Now, that's way after the play. Now, in Bayless' defense, I mean, goodness gracious, he didn't exactly try and hurt Flutie or anything. It was continuous motion into the quarterback. That is really a fine line call.
Gerald Bayless has been with Don Matthews before in earlier days, 92-93 with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I think Calgary really caught a break on that penalty there.
Stampeders are first and goal to go at the Stallions 9. Quarterback right, here's Flutie, touchdown! The only guy who had a chance at stopping
him to run the quarterback draw, because look at the defense. Hey, all you've got to beat is one guy, 31, Maurice Gravely, the middle linebacker. Bobby Panalitis, although he puts a bit of a hook on him, gets the block, and there's just not enough guys left in the middle to try and make the play.
Second rushing touchdown of the season for Doug Flutie. And the Stampeders have the lead.
Well, you talk about turning points. I mean, a bit of a chintzy penalty on Gerald Bayless nullifies the interception. A couple of plays later, you get the touchdown. You look at turning points in a game, my goodness, that may be it.
Mark McLaughlin on the money, and the Stampeders have their second touchdown of the day. It's 14-10 at McMahon Stadium. Flutie all by himself, quarterback draw, 9 yards to the end zone. 14-10, Calgary on top. That's the story in Calgary at McMahon Stadium. Second quarter, Stampeders have come back to take the lead. And here's the Calgary kickoff. Chris Wright, he's been sensational for Baltimore. Good job to stay on his feet there. Little hydroplaning on the far side. Flutie has engineered a couple of touchdowns for Calgary. That last one, 6 plays, 61 yards, and Flutie on the rush.
Well, it was a great looking play. And watch the center, Jamie Crysdale. He takes Robert Davis that way. Bobby Pandalitis drops like he's pass blocking, and then he leads it up through the hole for Doug Flutie. And you'll see all he has to do is get a rub on Mo Gravely, the linebacker. Whoa, right there. And for Flutie, nobody lays a glove on him as he gets the touchdown.
Baltimore beginning at the 34. Jones stands in. And a man open. Shannon Culver couldn't make the catch. Culver was wide open. 12 receptions, 204 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Culver so far. Couldn't hang on here.
And Ken Leonard was pretty lucky because he had the deep coverage in that zone downfield. Watch, he falls right there. Now, if Culver makes the catch, he walks 50 yards to the end zone. So, you know, he's thinking, gosh, I had one there. If I don't overthrow him, we get the easy touchdown. My goodness.
Sean Jones thought he had him. 2nd and 10. Here come the Stampeders. Jones, room to the outside, and not enough for a first down, however. 4 yards for Sean Jones. Getting his first start for the Baltimore Stallions, 95. He's played some behind Tracy Ham this year. Ham has been injured a time or two, or at least out of the lineup a couple of times. Had a little rough luck in Edmonton, wasn't able to start today. The decision to start Jones came after the pregame warm-up.
Well, he's only thrown 20 balls coming into this game, so he's had little or no playing time. And, well, you think back to last year, he was the 3rd guy behind John Congemi, so, you know, he is really an unknown for the Stallions.
Here's Josh Miller's punt. And Terry Vaughn set to return for Calgary. Known as a game breaker in college, couldn't get away from Alvin Walton there. 5 yards on the return, and the punt traveled 51 yards.
Now, there's some pretty serious family ties in this game today. There you've got the Zizicovics, that's Lubo, and his brother Shreko. You look at the Stallions, they've got the twins, John and Guy Earl, and then, of course, the Goodwin brothers.
That sounds like a rock and roll band, the Goodwin brothers, doesn't it? John and Guy Earl, it's interesting. They are identical twins and still list themselves as 6'5", 315 pounds. So they're exactly the same size 22 years later. Sean Daniels got the ball that time. He's out across the 30 to the 31. 6 yards the gain. Maurice Gravely made the tackle.
John Daniels has been a real find for the Stampeders. They felt that was the missing piece to the puzzle of their offense, and he's a guy that as a running back, he's more of a fullback. You know, they can still leave him in the ace backfield, and they can still run the ball. They couldn't do that a year ago.
2nd and 4. This is Daniels again, and he'll have the first down. Solid run by Sean Daniels. Now he lost the ball, and it pops to the Stallions. It'll be another turnover. Ken Watson coming up with the ball, number 33. Third fumble of the ball game for the Calgary Stampeders. They bobbled the opening kickoff as well.
Well, that's just what I said, too. In the ace backfield, they can still run with Daniels. Beautiful running play, but Kareem Bacon, as he makes the tackle, strips the ball loose. Kenny Watson gets the recovery. You know, that's not a wet field kind of fumble. That's just aggressive defense stripping that ball loose.
Stallions have the football. 1st and 10 when we return to CFL Live.
Welcome back to CFL Control. It was a great day for Donovan Bailey. Really, a great day for Canada. The World Track and Field Championships in Sweden. Bailey takes the gold with a time of 9.97 in the 100 meters. Bruni Surin was second. Let's go back to John and Leaf and McMahon.
9.97. What a wonderful time and a great day for Canadian sprinters overseas. Right now, the Stallions 1st and 10. Jones looking to the near side. Clark was the intended receiver, and Al Jordan got up to get a hand on it. Jones slow getting up off the turf. Did you see who got through, Leaf?
See who got through. I was watching Al Jordan. He really played a game with Sean Jones, letting him think that his wide receiver was uncovered out there, and then from his zone reacted to the play, but it was Will Johnson, 81, who came in and got the pressure on Sean Jones.
2nd and 10, Stallions. Ball at Calgary 41. This is Mike Pringle, and he is inside the 35. Stopped by Kenton Leonard and Greg Knox.
Well, that brings it pretty close to the 1st down, too, and they'll get a measure, but really trying to take advantage of an aggressive front forward. The Stampeders running the draw. See, good blocking. You've got 63 John Earl leading up through the hole, and then the hit comes from Kenton Leonard. Greg Knox finishes him off. But they will go gambling here on 3rd down. Kept it just a little bit short.
9 yards to the pickup, so a yard to go for the Stallions. 1st down to keep this drive alive. 3rd and 1.
Now the Stallions take a timeout here. They want to really discuss this. 7:01 to go, trailing by 4. They've got a good full yard to go, and I think Sean Jones just wants to come over and have a chat with Don Matthews. That's Steve Barato, who's the offensive coordinator to the left there, and just make sure they have the right play called in this situation.
Barato was a Calgary coach back in 84-85. In fact, spent a season as the head coach of the Stampeders.
Well, these two teams can certainly score a lot of points. There you see what they have done in Calgary, obviously in 5 games, Baltimore in 6. But I think that was a good move by Baltimore. If you weren't sure what you wanted to do, take that time out. Talk about Steve Barato at 84-85 here. 6-15 was his coaching record in those 2 years.
I guess that's why it ended in 85. They'll get the 1st down. No markers anywhere. 3rd and 1. Don Matthews and the Baltimore Stallions go gambling and come up with a 1st down.
Total offensive numbers for both clubs. You see Baltimore with only 62. Had a couple of series that started from deep in their own end where they had to be pretty conservative. Now they're obviously in a situation where they can take a few chances as they're getting closer to the red zone.
1st downs is quite a story. Baltimore's points all come as a result of turnovers. Here's Jones on 1st down. Has to hurry it, and no one around as that one ended up about 6 yards out of bounds.
Will Johnson's had a tough one. He's come up limping. Now, he's already got a sore neck and back from a car accident, but here he is working, and he's working like heck to keep containment out here on Sean Jones, and you'll see just near the end of the play, Robert Drummond is blocking him. Watch, he just comes up a little bit lame here. Now, he kind of goes over on his ankle a little bit. There you see now, he's in big trouble.
2nd and 10, Stallions at the Calgary 33-yard line. And he was trying to change his mind, Sean Jones. And it'll be a 5-yard penalty as a result, still second down.
Well, you look at the Calgary front four now, with the change they've made with Anthony McClanahan coming in as a starting linebacker. Now you really have an extra few linemen. You've got Lubo Zizikovic that can come in the game, and Shreko Zizikovic. You've got Marvin Pope up on the line. So they really have 6 solid guys that they can rotate in there.
2nd and 15 facing the Stallions now. Jones with time over the middle and almost picked off. Knox had his hands on it. Reggie Perry appeared to be the intended receiver.
Perry was the intended receiver just as he cleared the zone. And you know who you like to watch in this situation? Here's Greg Knox back here. Now, he got 10 interceptions. He'll slide over and be there to make the play, but watch his head. All he's doing is reading the quarterback. Boom. Now he knows where the ball is going. Go and find it. And I'll tell you, had they been in a position, 83 Mark Orlando, to make the catch, Knox would have been right there to give him a good rip.
3rd and 15, field goal team is in. 45-yard effort for Carlos Huerta. And Carlos is on the money one more time. 2nd of the afternoon for Huerta.
Stampeders 14, Baltimore 13.
23 field goals in 27 tries so far this season, hitting on 80%. And the Stallions get within a point.
Boy, you gotta love Carlos Huerta. Went to the University of Miami as a walk-on. That means he wasn't invited out to try out for the team. No scholarship, no anything. All he did in 4 years there was leave as an All-American, a national championship. Boy, has he ever developed into a terrific kicker. You know, Igwe Bike was the kicker in Baltimore a year ago, and you know, he had a pretty good year, but they have certainly upgraded this club when they get Carlos from the Las Vegas Posse dispersal draft. Teammate of Pee Wee Smith on the other side, the two of them together at the University of Miami.
Warming up, Tracy Ham. We might see him in action today. We mentioned he had a hamstring problem, also a foot problem. Injured his foot against the Eskimos last week, had x-rays. There's nothing broken, but apparently it's just a little too tender, or at least the Stallions figured it was to start the game. Terry Vaughn ready to return for Calgary. Away from the first wave, and he's out near the 37 and stopped there by Malcolm Goodwin, number 55.
Well, Will Johnson left the game. He's got a hamstring problem. Now you can see that left leg is heavily taped. Now, he's had this problem all season long. It's bothered him since the first game of the season. Been able to play through the pain, but, you know, I mentioned he was in a car accident. He's got neck and back problems. I mean, this is not a happy guy right now.
He's a wreck.
Yeah,
basically, he's a wreck.
He's not in too good shape. And with 6 now defensive linemen, he may get a bit of a rest today.
Flutie with a 5 receiver set in once more. 1st and 10, Stampeders beginning at the 37. Near side for Terry Vaughn, 4th catch of the day for Terry Vaughn, and a solid run after making the catch. He's out across midfield.
Well, you talk about Alan Pitts as a receiver. He threw the key block for Terry Vaughn, and this is an unbelievably tough play to defense. You've got 4 receivers to the left side of the screen now. Watch as Terry Vaughn makes the catch here. Look, Pitts and Danielson, they get the double team at the point of attack, and well, what a terrifically designed play. And Doug Flutie, you know, his quickness to get the ball out to Terry Vaughn so fast enables this play to get off to a good start.
What an effort after making the catch. 20-yard gain for Terry Vaughn right there. His 4th catch of the day. He has 78 yards already.
Well, he only has 1 touchdown so far this year, and I saw it. It was in a game we did in Shreveport. He made a beautiful catch on a post laid out, took a hit to make the catch. But look at the adjustments that the Calgary Stampeders have had to make on offense this year. Both starting wide receivers, Will Moore and Brian Wiggins, left after last season. So now Terry Vaughn and Pee Wee Smith have taken over, and doesn't seem like they've skipped a beat.
Tony Stewart, the injured Stampeder, being attended to on the near sideline. Calgary on top with a couple of touchdowns, 14-13.
What was your structure on the bench?
That's Charlie Carpenter, the offensive lineman for the Stallions.
I stick with him. I don't think Peter remembered that.
Here's Tony Stewart right here, and maybe you'll get a look at what happened to him. He left the field holding his arm. Looked like one of his own players hit into him.
On 1st down, Flutie for Danielson. And Danielson close to another first down. Should have it there.
Danielson brought down to the play by number 7, Tracy Traveler. 9 yards on
Stewart
pickup.
appears to be rather badly hurt. He's being attended to by the physicians on the sidelines. 9 yards for Danielson. And we'll see how close he is to a first down. About a yard. About that far.
And as a defense now, you know, you're in a situation, you're getting backed up quickly. You're at around the 45, inside your own 45-yard line. 2nd and 1 for Doug Flutie. You better not get too aggressive. Better play it just straight, because he can go to that play action and take a shot at one, because he knows on 3rd down he can pick it up quite easily. But I think, you know, if you're in the huddle there, you're saying, hey, guys, be looking for the big one here.
Good point. Stampeders on top by a point. Time ticking down to halftime. Danielson has the first down. Rather, Sean Daniels, I should say. Number 34. Goodwin in on the tackle. One of the sets of twins, Malcolm and Matt Goodwin, on the Baltimore Stallions. Play action for Flutie. Comes to the near side. Vaughn's 5th catch of the day, and it'll be another Stampeder first down.
Doug Flutie to Terry Vaughn. Irvin Smith was on the play defensively.
Well, Smith forced him out that time, Leaf.
Well, this is a play that Calgary's completed about the 3rd time now. They can have it whenever they want it if Baltimore's in his zone.
Holding, Calgary, number 64, 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
That's Bruce Beaton that time.
So the Lucky Bum Girls got a...
Tony Stewart will not return today, we are told. Obviously an elbow problem.
He was in a great deal of pain as he came to the sidelines. Stampeders, as a result of the holding call on Beaton, looking at 1st and 20, back now at the Stallions 50. Far side, Pee Wee Smith makes the catch. 23 yards, first down Stampeders. They needed 20.
23 yards on the pickup.
And that's the first catch for your pal Demetrius, Leaf.
Yeah, and you know what he does? They're in a zone, and he just sits down the sidelines and finds the soft spot. I mean, this is a very easy pattern. They roll up the corner. Corner's got the short flat. Now look at Ken Watson. He's covering deep 3rd, but he gets caught up inside looking at Alan Pitts, and Pee Wee Smith just finds the soft spot, makes himself a good target. And see, that's why Flutie is so tough. I mean, boom, he reads it so quickly.
Yeah, I just noticed, Leif, the penalty, a procedure call against the Stampeders, and the flag was dropped on the far side of the field, almost out of bounds.
Well, Pee Wee's nice catch doesn't matter.
Doesn't count. Knocked 23 yards off his total, make this 1st and 25. Make that a fine catch by Alan Pitts. Into the final 3 minutes now. Matt Goodwin the tackle on Alan Pitts, who picks up 12. This is CFL Live as we move toward halftime at McMahon.
Coming up at McDonald's halftime, we will talk to Baltimore Stallions owner Jimmy Spiros. He made some rather interesting comments last week. You see Bruce Covington? He's not playing today due to injury. We will talk to him about his tuna cam. That's his tuna cam. We'll explain. We'll also have John and Leaf and their first half thoughts. Back to McMahon.
And there's the Baltimore Stallions owner. He loves football, loves his Stallions, and celebrated a championship last year. Almost a Grey Cup. They were awfully darn close to the Lions in Vancouver.
Eastern champions. They got rings anyway. So the players were happy with that.
And there's the guy who came up a little bit short of getting to the Grey Cup last season for the Calgary Stampeders when his brother beat him right here at McMahon Stadium in the Western Final. 2nd and 13 for Flutie now. He's got an opening now. Fired for Sean Daniels. Flutie was going to take off there, Leaf.
Well, it looked like he had room, but, you know, it was still 2nd and 12, and, you know, I think Doug Flutie, the longer he plays, if he sees a receiver open, I think he says to himself, hey, I'd rather complete the ball than run for the first down. With the way he stepped up in the pocket to avoid the rush, though, you can see why he's only been sacked 4 times this year. He can make his offensive line look pretty good at times.
Setting up a pretty good test here on 3rd and long for Mark McLaughlin. His longest of the season, 52 yards. He has only missed once. And I hope that doesn't jinx him, because we'll likely see him right after the game, right? On the money, Mark McLaughlin adding to the Calgary total.
Now, the kickers have been flawless this afternoon. Mark McLaughlin's really got the stroke going this year, 13 of 14 now, and boy, 50 yards on a damp, wet day. You know, the ball doesn't carry as well as it does when the air is a little lighter than it is today, but he just absolutely nails this one. You don't think that split the uprights?
Absolutely, almost dead center, and look at this. Well, another one.
Wow, when you're 13 and 14, it is routine. Well, this is what we thought might happen. We saw Tracy Ham warming up on the sidelines a few minutes ago, and he will come in the game, and you know, he's had a quarter and a half to get a feel for what Calgary's doing on defense. We'll see if he can get something going.
He's on target on his first pass, far side to Robert Drummond. Stamps on top, 17-13. Tracy Ham has been playing extremely well for the Baltimore Stallions. Some suggest he's playing the best football he's played in the last 3 years. It was a bit of a struggle for Tracy in Toronto, but he had the great years in Edmonton. Those are his numbers this season. Great touchdown to interception ratio. Picked up 4 yards on the connection with Drummond. 2nd and 6. And will get out of there looking for the first down, and he comes up with it by about a foot.
If it's an ankle or a hamstring, I think it looks pretty healthy right now, because as he left the pocket, Tracy Ham had a real burst, and I mean, that wasn't a burst for a guy who was hurting physically. You'll see when the heat starts coming, and as he steps up, watch this burst starting right here. Now, boom, he takes off, and those first few strides are a real good push to get away from Lubo Zizakovic, and then he outruns Kenny Walker to get the first down.
Did you see Anthony McClanahan coming in there right up and over the
high hurdler?
Yes, absolutely. That was quite a play. Didn't quite get there, but it was spectacular. On first down, Ham stands in, looks deep, has a man. It's going to be he dropped it. It was a catch and rolled a fumble. Orlando made the catch, and this is Knox picking it up. Absolutely amazing. You want to see that one again? Mark Orlando was headed to the end zone, and then he dropped the ball.
There's been a lot of goofy things happen in one half of football with all the turnovers and everything, and Mark Orlando, who's the 5th receiver, has not had a lot of playing time, gets his chance, and this is a beautifully thrown football by Tracy Ham. Looks off the middle safety, Greg Knox, so there's lots of room for Orlando, and whoa.
Maybe he never had control of it. He took a couple of steps.
No. That was a catch.
Well, it was a catch, but I mean, he wasn't in complete control of the football, was he? I mean, it was bouncing around a little bit on him.
Well, nevertheless, Knox gets it, and the Stampeders really dodge a bullet. You look at the bad breaks the Stallions have had in one half of football. 14 points worth of bad breaks.
Bond coming out of the backfield this time. Lane opens up down the sidelines, and another substantial gain before he's pushed out by Matt Goodwin. Orlando took a couple of steps with the ball and then dropped it. Fumble recovered by Greg Knox, and that sets the Stampeders up. Life's embarrassing moments.
Ask Paul Mazzotti about that.
Oh, yeah. First and 10, Stampeders at the 47. Flutie to the far side, has fought again, couldn't hang on. No catch, far side. Average by Ken Watson. 1:29 to go till halftime.
Second and 10.
Stampeders on top 17-13. Flutie would like to add a little more to that advantage as he heads to the dressing room. Now 2nd and 10. Had Pee Wee Smith, he couldn't squeeze it. Charles Anthony over to cover on number 86 that time.
Charles Anthony, who had the deep third in the zone coverage, you know, they like to stay inside looking to the hooks and that, but Anthony, you see, he's caught inside, but he has enough speed to get out there and disrupt Smith enough that he can't make the catch. But that's one of the things the Baltimore defense will give you. They'll give you that play out deep to the sidelines. Demetrius. God, every time I say that to him in the warm-up, he just starts laughing. He says, why you called me that? So that's because it's your name.
It's the given name.
It's your name.
Chris Wright hasn't had any big returns for the Stallions so far. Couple of punt return touchdowns on the season. Martino kicks it low and bounces it in. Here's Wright. Caught from behind on a nice tackle by Shreko Zizakovic.
Wow, it's interesting. The newcomer, Anthony McClanahan, in his first game. I mean, you know, you always got a lot of excitement when you're a rookie in your first game. Watch him come. Pringle comes over to make the block, and look what happens at the end of this one. All of a sudden, he becomes Ronaldo Nehemiah, the hurdler, up and over the top. My, oh my, I mean, oh gosh. Now, this is when you need the high jumping pit down at the bottom there to land in.
Or take the act to the circus. 1st and 10 from the 44. Ham stands in and throws. He's got Drummond, and he slides safely near the 25-yard line.
Tracy Ham, obviously, when he spent his time on the sidelines in this game, felt like he could get deep, because when he's come in the ball game, he has just loaded it up and looked downfield. Drummond lined up as a wide receiver. And even though Ham takes the hit from Stu Laird, he's able to deliver a perfect strike. Look at Drummond. You know, that's when you really waste your corner, Al Jordan, out there. You got a running back out there. You take their corner to cover a running back, and you're really looking inside for a matchup, but Drummond just came wide open.
As you see, the field still a little slippery. It hasn't rained since the game began, and actually the sun peeking through now, but the turf is a little treacherous. Ham on 1st down, end zone toss. Orlando was there, and the coverage that time by Marvin Coleman. They haven't gone in Coleman's direction very often this afternoon.
Well, Marvin Coleman's a guy that they picked on early in the year. Teams tried to, and he was equal to the task. Now, he's in the zone coverage out here, but he just sees and reacts to the ball in the air. There's Orlando. Hey, that's what Tracy Ham sees. He says, hey, I got a touchdown, but Coleman comes from nowhere to get in there and make the play. That's his 9th knockdown of the year. I mean, that's a lot of knockdowns, and it's only his 6th game. Has 3 picks to go along with it.
2nd and 10. Ham and the Stallions at the 26. Ham on one-on-one with Zizakovic. It opens up. Ham will get the 1st down. And he's nailed on the far side by Matt Finley, the middle linebacker, coming across. But Ham is making it happen for the Stallions.
Oh, boy. There have been some hits in this ball game. Everybody up here in the press box, you can hear the roar every time. You know, you get McClanahan jumping over here. Now here's the decapitator by Matt Finley as he comes across. And you might make a claim for roughing there. I mean, the intent was there to just rip the helmet off. That's the hook, the clothesline. Well, you know, in a way, I'm surprised Finley didn't get called for that.
Stallions 1st and 10 at the Calgary 11. 21 seconds till halftime. Ham bobbled the snap. Now he lost the ball. And who recovered? There's a penalty marker down. Zizakovic and Finley say the Stampeders have it. And so do the officials on the spot. But there's a marker down. We'll check that out first.
Holding, Baltimore number 27, decline. 1st down, Calgary.
Well, one of the things Calgary has done with Marvin Pope is when they moved him from linebacker, he has come up and he's played all over the place. This time he's in a tackle, he's played the rush end, and watch how quickly he gets through. It's Pringle that has to try and pick him up, and he just fights off Pringle so quickly and knocks the ball loose from Tracy Ham, and yet another turnover in this ball game. I think it was McClanahan with the recovery.
Anthony McClanahan, and this play was bad for the Stallions from the start. Ham bobbling the exchange and never really got solid control of it again.
But you see the blocking schemes of Baltimore, too. They really don't know how to consider Marvin Pope. Is he a linebacker or a lineman? They considered him a linebacker there because Mike Pringle took him in the blocking scheme, and that is a big mismatch.
Stampeders content to run the final few seconds off the clock. It reads unofficially at 11 right now.
You know, John, we saw that the other night with Saskatchewan with Bobby Jurison, you know, normally a rush end. They moving him around like a linebacker now, and you do create those mismatches, you know, big man on small man, and Marvin Pope got the ideal situation and got the turnover.
That'll do it for the opening half, and we saw just a little bit of everything in the first half of football here at McMahon Stadium. Stampeders out on top of the Baltimore Stallions, 17-13. Too many turnovers to make it good football, but it was certainly entertaining. The Stampeders uncharacteristically fumbled the ball 3 times, and Flutie tossed 1 interception. Baltimore fumbled a couple of times. And certainly the turf here at McMahon, part of the problem, because it has been raining. It rained overnight, but it has not been a major factor as far as game conditions are concerned, although it is a little slippery. So Don Matthews heads to the dressing room, trailing by 4 points. It looked for a moment in the final minute or so as if the Stallions would have the opportunity to go to the dressing room with the lead set up at the 11-yard line. Look at the North standings and what's on the line for the Calgary Stampeders here this afternoon. Calgary unbeaten with 5 straight victories, followed by the BC Lions, the Eskimos losing to Baltimore earlier in the week. Ticats are back to even at 3-3. Toronto at 2-4, and Winnipeg, a disaster yesterday in Shreveport, dropping down. Baltimore leading the way in the Southern Division standings with a 5-1 record, followed by San Antonio, then Birmingham, Memphis, and Shreveport. All right, now at halftime at McMahon Stadium, we send you back to CFL Control and Darren Detition.
McDonald's Halftime, presented by your local McDonald's restaurant. Here's Darren Detition.
Welcome back to McDonald's Halftime. So far, this game has been everything we anticipated and then some. It's extremely close. The Calgary Stampeders looking for their 26th consecutive regular season victory at McMahon Stadium. They have never lost to an American team. Joining us right now is Baltimore Stallions owner Jim Spiros from Calgary. Jim, we appreciate you taking the time. So far, so good for your football team. It's close and competitive. We'll talk about that in a moment or two. Last week, the Board of Governors got together for meetings, and you created a few ripples. You had a couple of ideas, one of which was to start the CFL season a little bit later. Explain why.
Well, I tell you what, first of all, we had very good meetings this past week in Toronto, and it's the first time I left over a period of 2 years being in the league now that I think all the governors are on the same page. I think the Canadian owners now are understanding what we have to do in the United States to be successful and market this product. And I think we're all on the same page. As far as some of the things that we're doing differently, we're talking about some schedule changes for next year. We're talking about a name change for next year. But these are all positive things for the league. The league, I think, is going in the right direction. And we got 250 million people in America we got to market to. It's just not 39 million people in Canada anymore.
Well, you know, the people in Canada love the Canadian Football League and they love the name, but now it is truly a North American league with all the expansion that we've had into the States. You talk about marketing, obviously losing the CFL. You want perhaps a global name for this product that you guys are putting out.
Well, again, I'm excited the fact that we're marking our brand to 300 million people now. We've got a great product, exciting. Look what's going on here today. We got a great matchup between 2 heavyweights, and this is what we got to share throughout the United States. And I think that as a league, we're moving forward, and I think we're going to be looking at some opportunities we can take advantage of.
I think that would be the consensus this season. If you take a look at this present time to where the CFL was last year, I suspect that there's a lot of optimism.
Well, absolutely. I think this year the goal is stability. We finished the season on a positive note. Grey Cup's already sold out in Saskatchewan. Everything's looking good. So I'm very happy about what we're doing. And I think the league, these meetings in Toronto were very positive. And I think we have a lot of exciting things happening in 1996 when we turn to go into really the third full year of expansion in the States.
Your thoughts on the game so far? You've mentioned that it has been pretty close and pretty good. Calgary with a number of turnovers, but it's a tight one. These are the 2 best teams, arguably, in the CFL.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we expected Doug Flutie to do exactly what he's doing. He's moving around the pocket. He's throwing some great timing patterns. Our defense is making some things happen, and you know, we're going to have to continue to do that. I think this game's going to come down to the last 3 minutes of the game, and you know, who's ever left standing will get the win.
Well, we look forward to it. Thanks very much, Jim
Thank you very
Spiros, the
much.
owner of the Baltimore Stallions. We appreciate him taking the time. We're going to take a short break. When we return, McDonald's halftime continues. We leave you with the CFL rushers thus far. Stay tuned. Welcome back to McDonald's Halftime. You're going to enjoy this next story. You know, the toughest thing for any pro athlete generally is not being able to compete because of injury. And when the injury is season ending, it can be even more frustrating. Some players will pull away from their teammates as not to distract them. Others try to lend a hand as best they can. That's the case with Bruce Covington of the Stamps. The veteran offensive lineman, otherwise known as Tuna, is gone for the season with a shoulder injury. But he's still with the team, day in and day out. This week, we caught up with Bruce and his camera, known as the Tuna Cam, at a Stamps practice.
Hey, well, what is this? Let a professional handle this. I got the Tuna Cam right here. You take the day off. I'm going to handle this today. You just get out of here. Well, the boys are out practicing. It's tough for me not to be here, but, you know, you're still part of the team when you're an injured guy. So this will be a good opportunity for me to take you guys inside the locker room. We'll just walk over here. It's always nice for people that don't know what goes inside the locker room. This is sacred ground, though. This is Stampeders only. So we'll just go in here. Only the Stampeders allowed in here. We're the only guys allowed in here. There's Stampeders, players, and stuff like that.
Who are you?
It's me, Mark. It's Bruce.
Hey,
it's Bruce.
Stampeder locker room.
But I'm a player.
Players only. Players only. Get out of here.
They're just kidding. I'll
Get out of here.
No, I can come in there. No.
And get your sloppy body out of here.
Sloppy. Both
fish that can't swim.
Why can't I swim?
Because you're a fat tuna.
These guys got good language. Those Lubos. Noxie. Ben, you miss me? You miss me out there?
I can see right through you. You're so skinny, man. You don't have to
I look good, though. It's my new diet.
Out of the way.
I know AJ misses me.
Yeah, you're a fish that swims in circles.
Why do I swim in circles?
Because you got one fin.
One fin? Yeah. How are you handling the loss of Bruce Covington?
Bruce who?
Covington. Tuna.
Tuna?
He's the Tuna. You don't know? You never heard of him?
Well, I remember some guy named Bruce.
Number 60?
Number 60, oh yeah. Yeah, he, old guy. Oh, bad body.
What's wrong with him?
Old, bad body, not very smart, not very tough. You know, likes to play in Winnipeg, though. Had his best games in Winnipeg. Had no hitters.
So how do you feel about Covington being out of the lineup, Flutie? It's got to hurt. Are you scared out there?
Sucks.
Yeah? Yeah, your record's suffering from it. You really haven't thrown for many balls since I've been gone either.
Oh, I kind of
You
like
got no yards.
I kind of like it. I actually kind of like it.
You like that I'm gone?
Well, then again, I like cold toilet seats. So.
Well, here we go. Stu Laird, the king of kings. Stu and I have had many a battle in our 4 years, but he misses me bad. Stu, what do you think?
Miss what?
You miss me. It's me, Bruce Covington.
We're going to take up a collection so that you don't even have to get your treatments here. That way we don't have to see you till next year at training camp.
Why is that? Don't you guys, I thought you loved me like a brother.
We love you like a reptile.
What does that mean?
I mean, start slithering away. You're on the field. There's players playing here. You should not be. No media on the field in between us and the players. You media guys get hurt all the time.
So what do you think of the Tuna?
Well, he's probably the biggest wimp and the biggest whiner that we've ever had in my 30-year career. In fact, the guys are trying to take up a collection so he won't have his rehab done here. They're tired of his whining. Basically, that's it.
That's hard holding that camera up there all day.
Whose camera?
TSM.
Nice camera.
We're going to take another break. When McDonald's halftime continues, we will review the first half in our game story, and Leaf and John will give us their thoughts on what has transpired thus far. 17-13. Stay tuned.
CFL Legends, brought to you by McDonald's. He was one of the most dominant linebackers to ever play in the CFL. More on Wayne Harris in a moment. Wayne Harris played his entire career with the Calgary Stampeders and was the Western Conference's all-star middle linebacker 11 straight seasons. 8 of those years, Harris was named All-Canadian. He played in 3 Grey Cup games and was voted MVP of the 1971 Grey Cup. You can see more on Harris and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton.
McDonald's Halftime, brought to you by your local McDonald's restaurant.
Welcome back to McDonald's Halftime. Our game story reads like this. The Stamps with 4 turnovers in the contest. They could be running away with it. But then again, the Stallions haven't played that bad. 13 points off the Stamps turnovers. Stewart with the injured elbow. Floaty, 215 yards. Let's go to Leaf and John for their thoughts on what has transpired thus far.
All right, Darren, and Lee Pedersen says that Flutie's going to throw for what, 300 yards in this second half?
You know, I get the feeling he's so close in that first half. You know, 215. I think he could have a second half of 300 yards. But really, John, turnovers the story of that half. 4 by the Stampeders, 2 by Baltimore. And when you think that Flutie had an interception by Bacon down in the end zone that was called back because of a roughing penalty, could have been 5 turnovers. A little lucky in that department, but I think he's got things under control.
Tracy Ham did not start the ball game, but he did come in late in the opening half, and we expect him to start the second half for Baltimore. Well, it wasn't a classic first half of football, but full value leaf for entertainment with all the turnovers and all the strange goings-on. Stampeders on top, 17-13, second half underway. And this is Chris Wright, ready to break one this time. He's out near the 40-yard line. Stopped by Alondra Johnson. Numbers from the opening half of McMahon this afternoon. Passing yardage, 215 for the Stampeders. 245 net yards compared to 178. Stampeders turned it over 4 times, and Baltimore got 10 points as a result, direct result of those turnovers.
And Tracy Ham, when he came in the second quarter, decided that he was going to go deep, and he went downtown a couple of times and should have had 1 touchdown to Mark Orlando and hit Robert Drummond again on another one. So he saw something that he could get down deep.
And faked the draw and fired over the middle out near midfield and grabbed there by Reggie Perry, number 16, covered quickly by Greg Knox.
Tell you what, Wellesley, if you like boxing, it was a pretty good show at halftime. Ralph the Dog and Harvey the Hound, and Harvey the Hound takes a right uppercut, and he is counted down. Look at Ralph adding in some steps on him and everything. Brett the Hitman Hart was doing the PA on that one.
I would say it was an upset.
You don't think he said, let's get ready to rumble?
First and 10. Mike Pringle. Johnson was there. Pringle runs behind a very effective offensive line. Don Matthews very pleased with the play of one of the newcomers up there, Mike Withicombe, who's not exactly a raw rookie to professional football, but he's in his rookie season in the Canadian Football League.
And what's so tough for a defense with Mike Pringle? Pringle's only 5'9", but he's almost 200 pounds, but he just hides in behind those enormous offensive linemen. He's a tough guy to find for the defense.
Drummond gets the call on 2nd and 4, and he's close to the first down. Should have it on the far side of the field. 6 yards for Robert Drummond, who's the secondary ball carrier in the Stallions' backfield.
Mike Pringle, normally you think of him as the rushing running back, but watch Pringle right here come out and take on Anthony McClanahan, who's shown himself to be a pretty tough customer. Look how he gets the contact on McClanahan right there. Boom. Works him towards the sideline. That's a great lead block by a guy you don't count on to make great lead blocks.
Stallions first down at the Stampeder 40. Ham has 3 receivers to the near side. Here comes the charge, and Ham gets away from McClanahan and scampers out of bounds. Matt Finley finally forcing him out, but Anthony McClanahan just about got to Tracy Ham a little bit earlier.
Well, there's no secret. When you play against Baltimore, you better get ready to try and stop the rush. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis on the left, but today only 52 yards. And, I think a lot of that was time of possession in the first half. Calgary had the ball a lot longer than they did, and I think Tracy Ham, there's no question, he has the right kind of field position today. In the second half, you're going to see him really mix it up, and I think Mike Pringle's going to handle the ball a lot more than he did in the first half.
In the end of the previous play, Ham actually lost a yard, making this 2nd and 11. 2 receivers on each side. Ham operating from the shotgun. That one, not anywhere near a receiver. The closest Stallion to the ball was Mark Orlando, who's likely still thinking about the touchdown that should have been in behind the cover. Took 2 steps with the football and then lost it. Stampeders quickly recovered.
One of the things the Stampeder defense does is they just move so many people around. Now this time there's DeLondra Johnson inside, and he's going to take on the offensive lineman, and look what he does. They let him go through, and now it's Pringle that has to pick him up, but Johnson has a full head of steam when Pringle has to block him, and there's no way he can keep him off his quarterback. That's a tough assignment for those Stallion backs this afternoon.
Carlos Huerta. And this field goal try is wide. Stampeders elects to give up the single point. Pee Wee Smith looked like he was heading out of the end zone, and now decides to give up the single point and take field position instead. 17-14, so it's down to a field goal separating these two teams. Numbers on Doug Flutie from the opening half: 18 of 26, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he ran for a 9-yard touchdown himself.
You know, John, at halftime I said that I thought Flutie could throw for 300 in the second half, and I mean, that is not a knock on the Baltimore team. I just think that Flutie was so close a couple of times and seems to just, when he's out there right now, have such a grasp of what Baltimore's doing on defense, and the fact that they're thin in the secondary, I think that they can have a really good half through the air.
He's got 5 receivers in. Looks to the far side for Sapunjas. He's run out by Tracy Grassley. Terry Vaughn was the big receiver for the Stampeders in the opening half. And you can expect that Sapunjas and Pitts will get the ball a little bit more here now.
Well, these are the projected numbers for Alan Pitts and David Sapunjas. Now, keep in mind that last year Pitts has a record with 2,036 yards, so both of them would eclipse his mark if they stay on this current pace.
Flutie looking for an opening and decides to surrender. Bayless was there, and he was pinned as well by Alfred Payton.
Payton took a pretty good shot at Flutie when he was down on the ground, and you know, a lot of times a quarterback, if he goes down on the ground like that, he's indicating that he's not going any further, and if you give him a shot, you're coming close to getting a roughing call, and I think it was a real fine line for Alfred Payton right there. That's his 9th sack, as you see, which leads the CFL. Boy, in 1993 he had 22 of them, where he was runner-up to Gerald Bayless, his teammate, now as league MVP on defense.
And this play is whistled down. It was 2nd and 17 facing the Stampeders. Payton got an early start that time, it would appear. 17-14, Stampeders leading the Stallions. Now they're calling procedure against the Stampeders. A little confusion down there. It was Payton across the line, but the indication would be now that he was drawn across.
League of procedure. Calgary, number 88, 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Well, that's what Alfred Payton saw all the way from across the field, but here's Vince Danielson, and you know, you see his head, he's looking inside, so you know, as a receiver you don't even need to know the snap count. He's just anticipating and trying to get a jump, and you know, a mistake by a young guy.
So it'll be 2nd and a whole bunch for the Stampeders. 2nd and 22. 3 receivers to the far side. Flutie going for the first down, and Pee Wee Smith comes up with the ball. What a great catch by Pee Wee Smith in front of Kareem Bacon. Flutie got it all back in a hurry on 2nd and 22. And Smith slightly shaken up, but he sure made a great catch there, Lee.
Well, what Doug Flutie is looking at, as soon as Pee Wee Smith clears the halfback coming inside, the ball is in the air, but so is Kareem Bacon. He's reading the same thing, and when Pee Wee Smith catches it, what a hit by Bacon. You'll see Pee Wee Smith, watch him. He's kind of bent in half right there and takes it in the ribs, but to his credit, what a spectacular catch he made. And also Bacon with a pretty good hit. Flutie took a little bit of a hit himself from Alfred Payton. In the second half, your Baltimore is just getting a little bit closer each time to Doug Flutie as he's letting the ball go.
And Smith still being attended to down near the 40-yard line. He is up now, but we'll take a quick break anyway as Pee Wee says, "I'll be back." Pee Wee Smith, a 23-yard reception. He's up and okay on the sidelines. He'll be back in the ballgame. And the Stampeders needed all of that. It was 2nd and 22.
See, John, now here's the picture we have of Pee Wee, the nice shot. Now look at, he's got the headband on there. Now, he took an awful hit on the last one. See, the headband is gone. It's in the hand. They jarred that thing loose, Kevin Bacon. There it is. He's holding his helmet right there with the headband. He's going to have to readjust that whole thing. There it is.
And there's the hitman for the moment, Kareem Bacon.
He's playing his first game, you know, just injured to Lester Smith the other day, and now he gets in, but, you know, he's going to be just back in the deep center field. He won't lock him up in coverage. He came up and made the nice hit.
Stampeders 1st and 10 at the 41. Flutie got it away just in time for Sapunjas. He's halfway to a first down.
Pretty interesting formation there. That was the same look that they've hit Terry Vaughn on the quick screen to the wide receiver. This time they just sneak Sapunjas inside from that formation on a screen. That's a different look. We haven't seen that one before.
Stampeders lead it by 3 at 17-14. And the super slots have not been as involved as usual in the offense thus far, but wait for it, folks, they will be. 2nd and 5. Flutie has Pitts, and Pitts has a first down at the 20. Had to catch it a couple of times, but he has 16 yards.
Well, that's the second super catch that Alan Pitts has made today. You know, Flutie lets this go, or even before he makes his break. See, his head hasn't even popped around when the ball's in the air, and all of a sudden he locates the ball so quickly. Look at that. The right hand goes back, and, well, you wonder why he sets records. It's because, you know, anything that's near him, he catches.
First down, Stampeders. Flutie goes for the bundle. And couldn't catch up with Pitts that time. Charles Anthony was covering. So it'll be 2nd and 10, ball at the 20-yard line.
Pretty nice drive to begin their third quarter for the Stampeders. Started on their own 41 and 6 plays now. They do have a 2nd and 10. Doug Flutie mixing it up nicely, and with Tony Stewart out of the ball game, you can expect to see a lot of passes, not a lot of runs, and that's pretty much what they did anyway in the first half. Elfrid Payton's got a sack in this second half, and he is getting closer and closer with each play.
2nd and 10, Stampeders at the Stallion 20. Flutie over the middle, Pitts couldn't hang on. No catch at the 5-yard line for Alan Pitts. So the Stampeders will settle for a field goal try from Mark McLaughlin.
Well, here you can look at what Kenny Watson has to deal with, 33. See the swim technique? That's what offensive linemen use to get past or defensive linemen rather use to get past the offensive linemen. But Alan Pitts has been able to incorporate that into his pass routes, and boy, he just throws all kinds of stuff at you. But for Kenny Watson, you see what he's faced with. Hey, whoa.
Yeah, and he almost made the catch there. It was almost a remarkable reception.
But when you think you have a guy of Pitts' physical dimensions and speed, and to have to chase him across the field is an enormous task.
Mark McLaughlin from the 27 adds 3 more to the Calgary total. He has missed only 1 field goal all season long, clicking along about 92%. McLaughlin has been almost perfect. Stampeders on top by 6 now. It's 20-14.
Welcome back to CFL Control. Following tonight's football game, we will have Sports Desk for you. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it is the Toronto Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. The Sox have won 3 straight. Zane Smith has won 3 straight. We'll see how the Jays do. Let's go back to McMahon Stadium.
And here it's a battle of the 2 best teams in the Canadian Football League, the Baltimore Stallions and the Calgary Stampeders. Both have 5-game winning streaks on the line.
Alan Pitts with a spectacular catch on that last series, the one-hander. Hardly even saw the ball when it was all over him, and stuck a hand out and made a spectacular catch.
Stampeders with 6 defensive backs in for this sequence as Tracy Ham unloads out of the backfield. And Chris Wright can't get anywhere, then lost the ball. I think the whistle might have gone. Or are they ruling it a fumble?
No fumble. He was down. Greg Frears
had gone.
Greg Frears, who's getting a little playing time now. They put a nickel situation in, extra defensive back, and boy, did he ever get out there in a hurry to make the play on Pringle.
2nd and 10 facing the Stallions at the 35. Tracy Ham with time. Now he buys a little more. Looking deep. And this one is a free one for Marvin Coleman. Solid return for Coleman, who's out near the 50. And that's his 4th interception of the season.
The Calgary defense really gave Tracy Ham a different look here, only rushing 3 people, dropping 9 off in coverage with an extra defensive back as well, and there just wasn't anybody open. And this is a situation where Tracy Ham, as a 9-year veteran, has to throw the ball where nobody is. Nobody's going to get it, but he just throws the easy pick. And watch what happens with Will Johnson afterwards. Tracy, get away from him, Tracy.
Sean Daniels on a 1st and 10 situation at the 48 for the Stampeders.
But, you know, for Tracy Ham, you know, you look at that interception, and that's a defensive scheme that Baltimore has yet to see this afternoon. A very soft 3-man rush, 9 guys deep, and it results in the interception. But, you know, they simply fooled Ham. And, you know, he wasn't willing to get rid of the ball.
6 yards for Daniels, making this 2nd and 4 Stampeders. Near side, and that's Alan Pitts with another catch. Tackled by Charles Anthony. Stampeders on top by 6. It's 20-14 at McMahon.
Charles Anthony, when he's in man-to-man coverage, will give the inside receivers a fair bit of room, and here he's giving a pretty good cushion to Alan Pitts. And, you know, when he's taking that inside shoulder of Pitts' away, he's pretty vulnerable to the out. That's a tough pass. There's no way that Anthony can cover it when he's taking that inside shoulder technique. 7th catch for Pitts. He has 84 yards. 1st and 10 for Flutie at the 51. And that's Dave Sapunjas in front of Maurice Gravely, who's the cousin of Tracy Gravely, a second cousin of Tracy Gravely. And this is a pretty funny story. I mean, the first time they ever met was at training camp this year.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Hey, cuz.
That's right.
I heard about you.
I've heard about you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the team.
2nd and 5. 5 receivers in for Flutie. Almost picked off by Watson, number 33. Intended for Alan Pitts. Watson spent a little time in a Stampeder uniform playing for this guy, Wally Buono.
He's a very physical player, Kenny Watson. He's 6'2" and 200 pounds, big for an inside halfback. And you saw they just had a feeling that Pitts was going to the outside, snuck underneath, and almost had the interception. One of his great attributes is that physical strength, and, you know, he can go and challenge receivers as they come off the line of scrimmage.
Tony Martino is in, standing at his own 50. 1 man deep, that's Chris Rice for the Stallions. We've been waiting for him to break one. Martino doesn't give him the opportunity as he angles it out near the 14-yard line. Stallions will be 1st and 10 when we return to McMahon Stadium on CFL Live.
CFL Live, brought to you in part by The Keg, where good friends get together to enjoy great steaks and share some fun.
Stallions have a 1st and 10 beginning back at the 14-yard line. Last 4 possessions have been a bit of a disaster. A couple of fumbles, an interception, and then a missed field goal. 4:54 remaining 3rd quarter as Tracy Ham tries to get his team back into the lead. They trail by 6. 5 receivers set for the Stallions. This is Pringo. And he ran into Alondra Johnson, number 51. McClanahan was in the neighborhood as well, number 41. He's made an impact this afternoon.
Yeah, he's been a solid linebacker. You know, often when you have a new guy come on your defense, he brings some enthusiasm to a group that, you know, not that you get stale, but McClanahan has just been flying around in the football today, and I don't think that doesn't rub off on the older veteran guys and crank them up a little bit too.
McClanahan is out. Frears is in. 6 defensive backs for the Stampeders. 2nd and 6 for the Stallions. Ham shotgun. Over the middle on target. It'll be a first down to Reggie Perry, number 16. Stopped by Gerald Vaughn, number 38. Reggie Perry started 2 years as a quarterback at Southern Cal, moved to free safety for a while, and made it as a pro the first time around as a slot back. He's also played a little running back. Enthusiastic guy with 9 catches so far this season and a couple for touchdowns.
Pretty handy guy. A very versatile player when he was at Southern Cal.
21 yards in the previous play. This is Pringle again. Tough guy to bring down. He's a tenacious runner. Great skills and tenacity for Mike Pringle as he leads the CFL in rushing. Anthony McClanahan on the tackle again.
You know, when you're playing front 4 for Calgary and you know you've got such strong linebackers, you can do what Kenny Walker did right there. He takes on the guard in the backfield, stuffs the play. Now, he sells himself out because he knows he's going to get help in behind him. And, you know, once you foul up the blocking scheme, then you get the support from your linebackers. And, you know, against the run, that's what Calgary's front 4 likes to do.
This is 2nd and 5. And that one appeared to be tipped. Robert Drummond was the intended receiver. He was already down on the ground by the time the ball arrived in his vicinity. So Tracy Ham does get a couple of first downs, but it's another punting situation for Josh Miller and the Baltimore Stallions. Stamps were really anxious to get number 41 into the lineup today, Anthony McClanahan.
Well, he certainly hasn't disappointed. I mean, he came hard again on that play to get the pressure.
Terry Vaughn deep for the Stampeders. Standing back near his 20. High kick. Vaughn at the 18. Stutter stepped his way out near the 30-yard line.
Well, there's Anthony McClanahan, and he really has been a story. You know, we've telestrated him a couple of times today, but hey, it's that enthusiasm. He's got speed and strength, and you know, here he comes again at the top, and it's a bit of a dilemma for the Baltimore offense. They have decided that running backs are going to have to pick up the blitzing linebackers, but that time they make a bit of a mistake and comes free, and Tracy Ham's taking some pretty good shots from the Calgary front 7.
I'm outside, man. Will, I get over. Will, I'm outside.
Stampeders 1st and 10 at the 29. Flutie has Sapunjas out near the 35. 6 yards for Sapunjas.
That's the sponge pattern, and what he does is just go down and read the defense, and he can either go inside or outside. When he's a number 3 in that 5-back, the third receiver is, he's just reading the linebacker, and whatever the linebacker does is wrong, because wherever he is, Sponge goes opposite, and Flutie with that kind of time can pick him up, and they work so well together and seem to very rarely ever make a mistake on that play.
5th catch for Sapunjas. He has 44 yards. Flutie facing 2nd and 4, and there's catch number 6. For David Sapunjas. Gravely, number 7, over to make the tackle. Also in the area, number 33, Ken Watson.
And there's a lot of pressure. We talked about Tracy Gravely today and what he would have to do covering Sapunjas, and when Sponge gets that inside position, I mean, there's no way you can stop this, because now, boom, the ball's in the air, and Gravely just has no time to close the gap. But, you know, it's just a simple 8-yard pattern, but very effective, and it keeps drives going.
Enough for the first down. Low snap. Hits the intended receiver and knocked down by Matt Goodwin, who had an opportunity to haul that one in himself.
Now, a few years ago, Doug Flutie might have said to himself, hey, I'm going to run the football. Look, here, you're the quarterback right here. He's looking downfield. He's got a lot of room to run, but, you know, rather than do that now, he's got guys like Pitts and Sapunjas to catch the ball so well, and instead of even thinking about running, he's still trying to get the ball in there to him.
2nd and 10. Stampeders at their own 44. There you go. Just when you said he didn't think about running his offense, it opened up. Flutie had a 9-yard run earlier for a touchdown. Things opened up that wide, and this time it's 15 yards.
Well, the key for Flutie, you know, he sees Denny Chronopoulos right there, the left guard. Here's the left guard. Boom. Everything caves in. My goodness. You know, that's a good situation to take off with. He could have done it on the last play, and don't think Doug Flutie didn't think about that when he went back into the huddle. He says to himself, if I see that again, boy, I'm going to take it, and he did.
Another Stampeder first down as Flutie goes over the middle for Sapunjas, and he is inside the 40-yard line. 11 yards, stopped by Maurice Bradley that time.
You know, John, I talked about this in the first half, and I think it's worth repeating. Flutie went to Edmonton last Wednesday night and watched Baltimore at Edmonton play, and he got kind of like a scrimmage session against the defense, because mentally all night he was thinking of plays he would use when he saw certain defenses, and boy, you really get the feeling like he's so comfortable out here in the third quarter.
He's used 5 receivers most of the night. And this time it's Sean Daniels, just to mix things up a little bit. That should be the end of the third quarter with the Stampeders on top by 6. It's 20-14 with 1 quarter to go in McMahon in Calgary as we send you back to TSN Control.
Welcome back to CFL Control. It was a great day today for Donovan Bailey at the the World Track and Field Championships, I should say, in Sweden. Just last week, Bailey set a new record at the Canadian Track and Field Championships. Today at the Worlds, he would get off to a rather slow start. Fellow Canadian, Bruni Surin, he had a great start, but Bailey would make his move in lane 5. He finishes with a time of 9.97, followed by Bruni Surin. Here's another look now at the finish. Bailey on the left of your screen, Surin on the right. They finished 1-2. A great race for both gentlemen. They congratulate each other, and a proud day for all Canadians. Donovan Bailey accepts the gold medal. Bruni Surin accepts the silver at that World Track and Field Championship in Sweden. Truly was a remarkable race for both gentlemen today. Once again, a time of 9.97. As I mentioned last week at the Canadians, Bailey set a new Canadian record, 9.91, and he grabs the gold today. It's time now to head back to McMahon Stadium. We've got some fast guys there as well. A pretty good football game for the Calgary Stampeders.
So far, so good for the Stampeders. That's not one of the fast guys here at McMahon Stadium, but a pretty good offensive tackle. Bruce Covington, who's out for the season, and the Stampeders have missed him.
Yeah, he's got the right shoulder. I mean, you can see it in the brace, and he of course, will not be back this year. But Bruce Beaton's done a pretty good job today on Alfred Payton and O.J. Brigance when he's been coming as the rush end.
2nd and 8 facing the Stampeders now, and the Stallions really haven't been able to get a whole bunch of heat on Flutie so far.
They've been very reluctant in this game to blitz Doug Flutie and put their defensive backs in some vulnerable positions. They've really relied on just that front 4 to get any kind of pass rush on Flutie and go for maximum coverage downfield and not try and get some bad matchups. And they've really kept away from Stampeders. Haven't had many big plays on offense. They've just been able to pick away a little bit at a time.
Well, the Stallions come here on 2nd and long. It is 2nd and 8. Batted down. Grant Carter got a bit on that one. Number 54. Numbers through 3 quarters, 312 passing yards for the Stampeders. Net yardage, 358. It could be a little different if Calgary hadn't turned it over 4 times. The Stallions have turned it over 3.
And the Stallions have had their defense on the field a lot at 3 quarters of football. Don Matthews knows that. His defense has been on the field for a lot of time. 8 more minutes in Calgary's favor in time of possession, and that's a lot between these 2 clubs in only 3 quarters.
Mark McLaughlin hasn't missed but once all season long. This from the 45. Yes, sir. Mark McLaughlin is having a whale of a season. 15 field goals in 16 tries. He's hitting on 90%. A little better than 90%.
Got the good stroke going right now. Doug Flutie gives him the good hold, and really his confidence is so high.
We're busy this week. We'll pick up with the Eskimos and the Argonauts at Skydome on Wednesday nights for a 4:30 Pacific time kickoff, 7:30 Eastern. Lancaster and the Eskimos against Farragelli and the Argonauts.
Yeah, both teams coming off pretty frustrating losses. Of course, Toronto's to Hamilton, and Baltimore beat Edmonton at home, which doesn't happen to Edmonton that often.
Stampeders have 6 defensive backs in. Looking at Tracy Ham now, who has trouble spotting a receiver. Markers are down as the catch is made by Chris Armstrong. And Ham is down again. Initial indication is holding against the Stallions.
Well, Tracy Ham asked his offensive line to block for a long time.
Holding, Baltimore, number 68, 10-yard penalty, first down repeated.
Shar Perdanish, the outstanding lineman in the CFL in 1994, caught that time.
Playing on a bit of a bum ankle today. There's Perdanish on the left side of your screen, and we'll see exactly what happens. He's working on Marvin Pope. You see Pope, I mean, he's a linebacker, but he's got the strength of a defensive lineman, and Perdanish gets called. Tracy Ham asked him to block an enormously long time.
On 1st and 20, Ham swings it to Pringle. Pringle away from one and took a terrific hit from Alondra Johnson, number 51. He's quick, number 51. And Pringle paid the price there.
Well, he's had a lot of practice in his career, well over 500 tackles for Alondra Johnson. And watch, Pringle thinks he's off to the races, and all of a sudden from the side, he gets one right in the ear hole from A.J. Johnson. My, oh my, that's some hit.
Pringle did pick up 12 yards, but it's still 2nd and 8 at the 37 for the Stallions. Ham got rid of it more quickly this time. Intending it for number 81, Chris Armstrong, but Kenny Walker, number 99, got a big hand on it.
This is one of the ways Calgary really tries to fool the offense. You know, Kenny Walker's a defensive tackle. I mean, here he is lined up right here, but all of a sudden, he goes back as a linebacker in pass coverage, and my goodness, it's so tough for a quarterback to read coverages at the best of the times. I mean, here he's totally fooled, and Walker gets the knockdown. Is that any good?
Stallions have to kick it away as Terry Vaughn waits at the 22. Tries the near side, and there's a marker down in a hurry. 5-yard return, 51-yard kick. We'll take a break on CFL Live. Nicely into the 4th quarter with the Stamps on top, 23-14.
Welcome back to CFL Control. Make sure you stay tuned to TSN. Following the football game, we will have Sports Desk with Rod Smith. He'll have all the highlights and scores, the World Track and Field Championship, the Expos, and more. Let's go back to McMahon Stadium as we join up with John and Lee.
All right, it's Doug Flutie's ball game so far. 6th in all-time CFL passing, over 29,000 yards. Coming into the game, 417 short of the Stampeders' all-time career passing record. So he's closing in on that.
Not bad for 5 away. Not bad for 5 years of work.
5 and a bit.
9677, lucky number.
Stamps on top at 23-14, 12:48 to play. Flutie has the football back. Stampeders will start deep in their own zone this time, beginning at the 18. 4 receivers to the far side of the field. Swings it out for Vaughn, and there's a marker down in a hurry as Vaughn takes off. Another marker down near the 30-yard line.
I think this is definitely going to be Baltimore ball. Calgary was going to be called for holding at the point of attack on Sapunjas, I'm sure. So this play will stand, and Baltimore gets yet another Calgary turnover.
Bayless indicating it is a Calgary ball.
Holding, Calgary number 25, decline. First down, Baltimore.
That's the 4th fumble of the ball game by the Calgary Stampeders, and there's 1 interception there too.
You're going to see the fumble here. Again, Baltimore so good at stripping that ball loose. You know, I mean, that isn't something that just happens as a fluke. I mean, these guys are really trying to do that today, and Bacon stripped it loose. Peyton with the recovery, and boy, with 5 turnovers, you know, and only 14 points to get from all of that. I mean, that's just not enough. But for Peyton, nice play.
And Tracy Ham set up the Calgary 42. Ham escaped the initial pressure. Now tries to outrun Johnson, and he can't. Alondra Johnson ran down Tracy Ham. These two have had a pretty good history. When Ham was up in Edmonton, Johnson chased him all over the ballpark, here and in Commonwealth Stadium.
Well, Alondra Johnson, you know, talk about speed. When he was in high school, he was a kickoff and punt return man. So, I mean, you know he's got speed, and he is spying Tracy Ham right now. This is spy technique. If he breaks the pocket, that's his man, and watch the speed as he closes the gap right here. And, you know, a guy that had over 540 tackles in his career. Unbelievable.
2nd and 9. Ham didn't get it away. Stu Laird, number 75. Laird had a rest last week. His knees were bothering him, so he took a week off, and he's back with a vengeance here.
Stu Laird, they're coming with a little extra pressure. Here's Stu Laird right there, and he just hand fights his way through it. You know, Tracy Ham knows the blitz is coming. He's looking, he wants to go for the home run right there, but he just doesn't have enough time. And, well, you really get the feel like Baltimore only on a short 3-day period to get ready for this game. Calgary has thrown a lot of different looks and junk at Baltimore, and some occasions they haven't been able to handle it.
Big kick by Josh Miller. And it goes right through the end zone, or right into the end zone. No yards called. As Pee Wee Smith lured one of the Stallions into his zone, Grant Carter.
Josh Miller's punt travels into the end zone. Pee Wee Smith picked it up, stepped out of bounds.
A booming 59-yard punt by Josh Miller. Big part of the Stallions' success has been field position by, or acquired by, or set up by special teams, I should say. And Miller has been punting the lights out.
No yards. Baltimore number 23 declined. 1 point.
Norris Thomas was in the area, but they give up a single point regardless. Penalty is declined. 23-15. Now an 8-point ball game.
Terry Vaughn with that piece of tape over the nose that the players insist really helps their breathing and oxygen intake throughout a game. I gotta try that thing one time. Maybe
yeah, you should put one on when you go on one of those long jogs of yours.
No, I gotta put one on when I walk up these stadium stairs to get to the press box. But the players are convinced that that really does help them.
Flutie for Pee Wee Smith. He's got it across midfield. Courtney Griffin made the tackle. 23 yards for Pee Wee Smith.
Well, Pee Wee Smith working that Courtney Griffin, and here is the matchup right here. And watch as he goes downfield. Doug Flutie throws this ball behind Pee Wee Smith on purpose because he knows Pee Wee's looking at it all the way and can adjust to it. You see, Griffin, he can never get his head popped around and try and find the football. So that's the throw that Doug Flutie throws short on purpose.
Stampeders are quickly across midfield at the Stallions 53. Alan Pitts, did he hang on? No. Tried to tuck it in, and it went between his knees.
Yeah, Matt Goodwin saying to him right there, if you'd have caught that, I'd have ripped you. You knew I was coming. That's why you didn't want to catch it. You know, that's some of the verbal intimidation that'll go on throughout a game and try and take Alan Pitts out of his game. I don't think it'll work, but for Matt Goodwin, I think you try anything at this point in time, settle the Calgary receiving corps.
Pitts will be over 100 before the day is done. He's at 84.
He's only done it 36 times in his career.
2nd and 10. Flutie with time. Pitts. You know, after dropping what looked like an easy toss, he makes the tough one.
And he's saying to Matt Goodwin right there, hey, where were you? I thought you were going to be close to me. Watch this. Doug Flutie's just reading the linebacker Goodwin. When he doesn't get outside, he just throws it into the hole, and he expects Pitts to work his body back into it and make the spectacular catch. But that's Flutie throwing to a spot, knowing that eventually his receiver will get there.
Told you he'd be over 100. 19 yards there. It opens up for Flutie. Took a pretty good hit on the left thigh. He's up in a hurry, though.
That's Matt Goodwin again. All of a sudden, in 3 plays, he's been involved in all 3 of them, and don't think he didn't really want to give Flutie an extra good shot there. And in fact, I think he hurt himself when he made that play. Yeah, he hurt his arm.
Alan Pitts, 8 receptions, 103 yards here this afternoon.
CFL sizzles on Sports Select.
Look to the left side of your screen. You'll see 39 Matt Goodwin throw out that arm and elbow right into the thigh of Doug Flutie. Well, oftentimes you can get what they call a burner, you know, one of those sting jobs right up in through the shoulder, and just need a minute or so to shake it off, and I think that's what's happened to Goodwin.
He'll take his 30 seconds to do just that, and we'll return to the CFL Live at McMahon Stadium. That's the story, 23-15 with 8:32 to go in the fourth quarter. Stampeders looking at 2nd and 8. Flutie will get it himself. Trying to outrun Gravely, and Gravely saved the first down there. That Flutie had room to maneuver, but Gravely closed quickly and limited it to a 5-yard gain.
Well, you look at the offenses this year, what they're doing per game. Calgary, fantastic, 464. So is Baltimore's. Boy, today Calgary right up there. Baltimore under their average per game. Calgary, that's a lot of yardage for only 23 points.
Mark McLaughlin on for 35-yard field goal attempt.
Here's Mark McLaughlin into the game. This will be spotted by Flutie at the 35-yard line. McLaughlin, another perfect day. 3 for 3. He's 4 for 4. Stampeders now with 27 points up on the board. 23 points up on the board. 26-15.
Well, Doug Flutie is the holder for Mark McLaughlin, and you can see how important that is to the success that he will have. And boy, you don't do it any better than that. No laces for McLaughlin to have to worry about seeing. Just another little dimension that Doug Flutie gives this team.
Stallions beginning at the 35. Here's Tracy Ham swinging it out to Mike Pringle, and Pringle is nailed by the new guy, Anthony McClanahan, who has really made an impact.
Well, in principle, it's a good call. You want to give it to a guy like Mike Pringle that can make a lot of linebackers miss. But Anthony McClanahan has really shown himself to be an excellent linebacker, and they just can't get out to get the block on him. Pordanish can't get out that far, and there's no way Pringle's going any further, but McClanahan has really shown some stuff today.
2-yard gain, 2nd and 8, Baltimore. Ham may not get it away. Lost the ball. Picked up by Finley. Stopped at the 25.
Boy, you can see that one coming. Will Johnson came off his block. Tracy Ham had no idea where he was, and he strips it loose. Finley gets it, and yet another turnover in a game that has had a bunch of them. But Will Johnson kept working. I mean, here's it. It's Marvin Pope actually at the top of the screen. Watch as he comes up there, and then he will reverse the field when Tracy Ham breaks containment, but you know, 91-81 sometimes is tough to pick, but Tracy Ham has no idea that Pope is coming full tilt from behind him, and you know, he's thinking strip the ball loose too. What a defensive adjustment this has been to have Pope as a rush end and McClanahan in there. I mean, this is all of a sudden a much better defense.
Stampeders get a chance to add more. Alan Pitts missed that one. Set up with a first down at the 25-yard line as a result of another turnover. 3rd fumble by Baltimore. Pitts has dropped a couple too.
37th time he has had a 100-yard game in his career.
11 last year, 4 already in 95. 2nd and 10. Flutie escapes. And he'll be pretty close to the first down. Took one last long stride for a 10-yard gain. Flutie got on 30 of 44 so far this afternoon in the passing department.
Gets by Gerald Bayless there, and then that little extra stretch. Don't think he didn't know where the first down yard marker was, and got it by a couple of inches.
And he's carried 7 times for 32 yards, including the 9-yard touchdown in the first half. First downs. The Stampeders have 3 times as many as the Stallions. First and 10. Stampeders at the 15. Alan Pitts tried to make the impossible catch as Flutie had to rush the throw. Little heat coming from Alfred Payton.
Well, they try and fake Payton and get him to come down the line of scrimmage, but he's having no part of it. He's seen this on film, that is the favorite play of Doug Flutie's when he gets down around the goal line, so he stays at home and forces Flutie to throw the ball away.
Pitts went after it, though. Second and 10. Stampeders at the Stallions 15. Flutie, end zone. Pitts couldn't make the catch. Alan Pitts checking up those gloves.
Well, he really works hard on Kenny Watson, setting him up with a little motion at the snap of the ball. Watch the hard move inside to get the hips turned, but the speed turn of Kenny Watson, that's super defense. And, you know, Pitts just couldn't hang on to the play. Good effort, but, you know, for Watson, that's pretty fast speed turn he made to be there. Might not have made the play had the ball been a little better thrown, but nevertheless, pretty solid coverage, and Pitts almost had another one.
Here's Mark McLaughlin. One more try. 4 for 4. Now 5 for 5. So the offense has stalled a little bit. Mark McLaughlin has come through and kicked 5 field goals. The Stampeders lead at 29-15.
Our next game is next Wednesday. The Edmonton Eskimos come to Sky Dome. All their razzle-dazzle. Lucius dancing into the end zone. We'll have that contest against the Toronto Argonauts. 7:30 start Eastern Time. Once again, it's Wednesday, August the 9th. Let's go back to McMahon and John and Lee.
Where Don Matthews tries to rally his Baltimore Stallions, trailing 29-15. The Calgary Stampeders with 4:59 to go. There's still time. Wally Buono and the Stampeders looking for their 27th straight victory on home turf.
Well, what Baltimore really needs, obviously, is a score in this possession to get back in this one and keep the ball away from Calgary. Calgary done a pretty good job in the second half of working the clock.
This is Chris Rice. We've been waiting all afternoon. And that time, Greg Knox, Kevin Allen, rather, number 9, led the Stampeder tacklers, and there was nowhere to go for Chris Rice.
Boy, John, you look at these teams playing today, a lot of all-stars involved. Those were the All-Canadians a year ago with the Stampeders. That's a lot for one team, but all of them very deserving. And for Baltimore, they had their share too. Mike Pringle and Bordanish was voted the outstanding offensive lineman in the league. Josh Miller, of course, the punter, and Irvin Smith, a terrific corner. Funny, Irvin Smith was with Saskatchewan and Hamilton, couldn't stick with them, but he goes to Baltimore and becomes an All-Canadian. You figure that one out.
Sometimes it's difficult. Tracy Ham on 1st and 10, far side, and way out of bounds. Intended that for Robert Clark, number 86.
It's a pretty interesting matchup here with Shar Bordanish, who's hobbled a little bit by an ankle injury, and here's Marvin Pope coming from the outside. See how Bordanish keeps those feet working all the time? Good inside position and makes the contact, but boy, for an offensive lineman, the key to just keep those feet moving, keep it underneath you, and use those hands is just to keep that defensive lineman off you.
2nd and 10, Stallions. From the 30, Tracy Ham really needs a first down here. Robert Drummond made the catch. He'll be short of the first down.
Well, John, when we looked at this game, what would the game story be? And we felt that, you know, Baltimore had to establish Mike Pringle on the ground, and they just haven't been able to do that. Only 35 yards for him. And, of course, we knew Calgary throw the ball, and Pitts and Terry Vaughn both with 100-yard afternoons. And just a normal day for Doug Flutie, 377. The game story, I think, you know, when Baltimore doesn't get Mike Pringle really involved in the game, it becomes tough, because this isn't a team that can beat you throwing the ball 40 times a game.
Stampeders have really controlled them quite well. Here's Miller's kick coming down to Vaughn, and it chases him all the way back to the 15. Nowhere to go after that for Terry Vaughn.
60-yard punt by Josh Miller.
Mark Orlando led the Stallion tacklers. Numbers on Flutie, 30 of 47. 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
That's the difference between these two teams. I mean, with 47 passes, yeah, I mean, Calgary can do that in win games because that's the structure of their offense. But for a Baltimore team, when you don't have that running game and have to rely strictly on, you know, Sean Jones and Tracy Ham to win it with their arms, I mean, they're good throwers, but that's just not their style.
Stallions have really won the kicking battle. Josh Miller nailed that 55 yards. Look where the Stampeders begin, back at the 20. But Flutie has been able to move the ball team. Here again, Sapunjas. And he fights for extra yards. Narrowing in on the first down. He'll be a little bit short.
John, you look at the quarterbacks today, Tracy Ham and Doug Flutie chasing some records as they race to the top of all-time TD passers. With Doug Flutie's one today, he moves just slightly ahead of Tracy Ham. And Tracy Ham, keep in mind, did it in 9 years. Doug Flutie only in his 5th season, but they have a long way to go to catch the legend in Edmonton, Ronnie Lancaster.
How many years did it take the legend to get there?
I don't know.
23 or 25?
That was his number, 23. I don't know if it was 23 years.
Stamps on top of the Stallions with 3 minutes to go. This is CFL Live.
Because you wear them till their tongues hang out, Micotin penetrates the skin to kill athlete's foot.
And we're back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Tracy Ham and the Stallions have some points to make up, trailing the Stampeders 29-15. This might be a tired football team.
You know, John, I think you make a great point there. You know, 3 games on the road and being away from home that long, and tough game Wednesday in Edmonton, which is a very physical team. I think this team is tired out, and you know, they just have had some chances to get back into this game, but it just seems like there hasn't been a lot of gas in the tank this afternoon. It's a good football team, though. Don Matthews, I don't think there's any question he'll dominate the Southern Division this year, and come Grey Cup time, wouldn't surprise me if Baltimore was back there.
I would think there's a pretty good possibility. 29-15, Stamps on top, 2:42 to go. And Sean Daniels gets the call. Rudy will try and take a little time off the clock now.
You know, for the Stampeders, too, they lost Tony Stewart in the second quarter with an elbow injury, and, you know, that'll remain to be seen how badly he is hurt. I mean, they do need a healthy Tony Stewart in this offense. I mean, it's one thing for Flutie to win games throwing 47 balls, but when nobody knows better than Wally Buono, when the snow starts to fly out here, you need some sort of running game to go for it. In August, it doesn't matter that much, but in October, November, it might.
Sometimes in September, it can matter with snow in the foothills of Alberta. Robert Presbury is being attended to. 17 starts in '94. Played with Don Matthews with the Orlando Thunder a couple of years back. Eskimos Argos coming your way on TSN on Wednesday nights. Both teams trying to avenge losses last week. Argos might be a little angry at losing to the Tiger Cats, and the Eskimos lost by 7 to these Baltimore Stallions.
Well, the Argonauts, I mean, you know, you have to look at that game and say, my, we had so many chances to win that game and couldn't do it. See if they can regroup for a very tough game they're going to have at home against Edmonton.
What do you think the mood is like in the Bomber practice field in Winnipeg today? Bombers beaten 65-17 yesterday by the Shreveport Pirates, and Cal Murphy was not happy.
You know, I read a quote
at any point in the game.
I read a quote in the paper this morning from Marcus Patton, who had 5 touchdowns rushing for Shreveport last night, and you know, he said we're usually on the receiving end of these kind of scores. Kind of fun to dish one out for a change ourselves.
Every once in a while, as Sean Daniels carries for the Stampeders and grabs a couple. Anyway, not to rub it in for Bomber fans, but that was the worst loss in franchise history. It's 65-17.
Well, it was a funny game. Gerald Alphen dropped a sure touchdown early, and then it was all downhill.
2:09 to go, fourth quarter. Stampeders on top here at 29-15. Flutie running the offense. They're comfortably in control, but facing 2nd and 7 here. And Flutie goes to Sapunjas for a big first down. He's up across the 55 and stopped by Gravely and Kareem Bacon.
Once again for David Sapunjas, it's all positioning when he is the third receiver in. Here he is right here, and I mean, he knows he wants to get over in this territory, so he takes him straight up, and once he gets the inside position, I mean, it's over because the ball is going to be in the air. You see, Gravely just can't make up the distance. That's too much field to have to chase the slot back across, and pretty easy completion for Doug Flutie.
9th catch of the day for 93 yards total for Sapunjas. Daniels met right in the backfield by Gerald Bayless.
Something Gerald Bayless is pretty good at is tackles in the backfield for losses. 1993, when he was the Defensive Player of the Year, he had 18 of them, and that's huge for a defensive tackle. First one he's had today in the backfield.
Now a minute 26 to go with the Stampeders on top, 29-15. A long way for the Stallions to come back as Flutie continues to move the Calgary football team. Facing 2nd and 12 here, and there was early movement, and now the flags are down.
Daniels again, the ball carrier.
Sean Daniels one more time with 1:06 on the clock. A little offside. We await the call.
Offside, Baltimore, number 69, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down, repeat it.
That's Robert Davis, number 69, Don Matthews. Put together a 5-game winning streak. Apparently it's about to end here this afternoon because of this guy.
Yeah, that's what his numbers project out to this year. Now, that still wouldn't be his best year ever. 1991, he had over 6,600 yards, so it had the second best year, but he's had some good ones, hasn't he?
Amazing numbers. He's at it again. He goes one-on-one that time with Alfred Payton. Payton really won the battle as Flutie just surrendered there. He'll give up the football now with a minute on the clock. The Stampeders comfortably in the lead, heading to their 6th victory of 1995. .32 completions for Flutie this afternoon. That's 3rd most on his list. 37 against Saskatchewan in '93, 34 against Toronto same year, and 32 here today.
Well, you need a lot of paper when you start writing all the marvelous things that Doug Flutie has done, passing records, touchdowns, all kinds of stuff.
It's almost a whole section now of the Stampeder Media Guide and Record Book.
Well, you know, it was fun for me yesterday, John, to get into town and meet with Doug at the stadium and sit down and watch some film of Baltimore's defense for about an hour. And God, it was just like old times for me. You know, I remember with Tommy Clements and Ron Lancaster doing it and sitting there going over schemes. Look what we can do when they're in this defense, and look what we can do over here. And I mean, he's such a schemer, and you couple that with John Huffnagel, who's such a terrific offensive coordinator. I mean, they've got a heck of a combination going here.
No doubt about that. Have they used all the schemes they were talking about yesterday? Martino gets it away. It's grabbed by Smith and then flipped to Rice.
John, when you look at statistics as you get ready for a game, there's usually a couple that jump out at you, and one of the more interesting statistics is the fact that Calgary has never lost to a team south of the border, and that's their record going into this game. They'll bump that up to 12-0. So in a year when, you know, a lot of Canadians are worried about U.S. teams dominating, don't fear. Calgary's doing all right.
Yeah, Calgary's carrying the Canadian flag well, although they padded that record a little bit against Sacramento in that first season in a bit. However, a very solid victory for Calgary today against a good football team from Baltimore. Dan Crawley is in at quarterback to get a little experience in the final 40 seconds or so.
Well, I think if you're Don Matthews and the Baltimore Stallions, you can't be overly disappointed with this game. This game just happened to fall at a bad time in the season for them. I mean, this is the dog days for Matthews' team. Three games in 10 days is a lot to ask, and, you know, to play Edmonton, Calgary back-to-back, I mean, who else is going to do well? And, you know, this shouldn't be a frustrating loss for them.
Into the final 28 seconds now. Stampeders comfortably in control as Dan Crawley looks to the near side and can't hook up with the intended receiver. Looks like Reggie Perry, although Clark is in the area as well.
You know, every team will go through a period during the season where they're going to play a lot of games in a short period of time. This just happens to be Baltimore's time to do it, but every team is going to be faced that with, you know, it's an unbalanced schedule with only 13 teams. So, you know, Matthews, he's going to get rid of that. Calgary's going to have theirs coming up, and it's going to be tough on Wally and his team.
Well, looking at it from the Baltimore standpoint too, Leaf, I mean, this is a 3-game series, and you win 2 of 3. That's not so bad.
Oh, you got to be happy with that.
Crawley over the middle and has his target at the 40-yard line. That's Robert Clark, and that's his first catch of the day.
Crawley's pass complete to number 86, Robert Clark.
Crawley is listed as number 3 on the quarterbacking depth chart. He's in his rookie season.
First down, Baltimore at the 40.
Holds all the school career passing records.
That's his first completion as a pro.
6 seconds to go. The Stampeders are set to wrap it up. Clark can't hang on to that one. And now 2 seconds remain for the Baltimore Stallions to get on the airplane and go home after a long road trip that began in Birmingham with stops in Edmonton, then 3 days in Red Deer, where the Stallions are the favored football team.
You know, you look at this game and who you thought might have an impact. Chris Armstrong. I think he only caught 1 ball the whole game, and he really is their big play receiver. 6 yards, 1 reception for Armstrong, and that's kind of surprising.
That'll be the ball game as Dan Crowley surrenders. Don Matthews will shake hands with Wally Buono. Matthews' record dropped from 5-2 in '95, and Wally Buono and the Calgary Stampeders unbeaten in 6 games. Calgary had a time of possession 35 minutes and 39 seconds compared to 24-21. So the score could have been a little bit more than 29-15. North standings, well, nothing has changed except we add 1 more victory to the Stampeders in that win column. 6-0, 12 points, a couple ahead of Edmonton, a couple ahead of BC, and 4 up on Edmonton.
Well, you look at the South San Antonio is making a bit of a move with their win on the weekend over Memphis, and they're only now 1 game behind the Baltimore Stallions.
Pirates are back in it.
Gosh, Pirates are right back in it, you know. 3 teams will qualify for the playoffs from the South, so there you get a look at the way the standings sit right now.
Wally Buono has had a masterful career as a head coach in the Canadian Football League. Today was victory number 71 during the regular season. And there haven't been very many losses at McMahon Stadium. That's 27 straight wins for the Stampeders going back to Labor Day 1992, the last time Wally Buono and the Stampeders lost here. And how about Mark McLaughlin? What a wonderful afternoon. He was perfect again. We'll send you back to Darren Detition now at CFL Control.
Thanks very much, John. It really is remarkable just how good the Calgary Stampeders are at home during the course of the regular season. Doug Flutie with another fine game today. He goes in and tosses his 13th touchdown pass of the season. Doug Flutie will now join us live from McMahon Stadium. And Doug, was as easy as it looked, because you guys really did dominate for the most part in this game.
You know, it felt pretty good. They were playing a lot of zones. They started man-to-man, and we were ripping them. So they got out of that, got into some zones, and tried to make us nickel and dime them. And as long as I'm taking good reads, it's pretty easy to move the ball. The problem was we kept fumbling at the end of the drives or turning the ball over, and it kept the score down. It kept the point total down. We couldn't get the ball in the end zone.
I thought your defense did a fantastic job. You guys had 5 turnovers in the football game. When you guys did give it up, your defense was there to help you out and get you guys back on the field.
We gave them some great field position a couple of times with opportunities to score a lot of points, and our defense stood up and made some plays. Tracy Ham came in the ball game, made some big plays to kind of spark them, but then defense settled back down and shut him down. So they kept us in a position where field goals got the job done.
Hey, what's the deal with the home record here? You guys are almost invincible at home, 27-0 now during the course of the regular season. Is it a matter of